As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome, everyone, to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. How are you? Hey, Tigers won. Lions didn't play, but it's a good weekend. And we're back, fellas. How we feeling? How we feeling?
Feel like $1 million. Listen, hey, Juicy J. How about them Tigers, baby? How about those Tigers?
How about them Tigers, man?
Look great. Unbelievable.
Tarek Skubal, lockdown, Boone.
Yeah.
Lockdown.
Huh?
There's never a doubt with the man. Never a
Skubal,
doubt.
Kerry Carpenter. I mean, boys, what are we doing?
Kerry Carpenter's absolute nuke. I was on the phone with Boone. No, we were just sitting there, just like, damn,
Nothing
offense
was happening.
This offense has no pulse. And then we get off the call, and then you just see Kerry Carpenter absolutely launch a missile. What'd you guys think? I mean, at least the Tigers getting a win here. Skubal, he won't play till game 5 now. But 1-1 going back to Comerica. Come on.
I mean, first thing I said after the game, you have to say, like, the Tigers are in complete control of the series now. Like, even after game 1, you split on the road. Now you have 2 home games, and you have the best pitcher in all of baseball in game 5 if you go back to Cleveland. Like, you have to win 2 of 3, and that's the situation. Like, just winning today, if they would have lost today, it would have been a climb back. But just being able to win today, like, you're sitting there now, and you're like, we're in a great spot. Like, you control the whole series now. Like, what you needed to happen, happened. I said we need to split at home or on the road. They did it.
Yeah.
Look at that graphic.
You still won tonight. Obviously, you were thinking, Skubal on the mound. You're hoping for a win, but like now you get that win, and the bats still haven't even heated up yet. You go back home. Obviously, you can finish it on Thursday if you win 2 in a row. But if the bats get going, man, we know what the pitching staff can do and how AJ Hinch can work his magic. And like you said, if we need be, you got Skubal again, game 5. So, man, just electric from the Tigers today.
By the way, too,
Skubal
left the bat 110.8 miles per hour.
Unbelievable.
No
Kerry
doubt.
Carpenter to step up and do that. Like, he has been unbelievable throughout the year. Him to just step up in that moment, top of the 9th on the road in a playoff game, down with 2 guys on and 2 outs, like, just to be able to have and one of the best, I believe one of the best closers in the game, like, to be able to step up and make that play, it's just like shout out Kerry Carpenter. I met him one time, very, very humble and great person. To be able to go out and do that, it's just so shocking. And Skubal was unbelievable today too. That dude is insane. Like, he gets in all these situations, and he just gets out of every situation he puts himself in. And he's like, it's like he didn't give up a run again today. It's like 20-something straight innings. This man just has not given up a run. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's insane.
And Tarek, obviously, back-to-back innings, somehow squeezing out 2 double plays back-to-back when it was looking grim, and then you see him getting all fired up. Like, to have an ace like him, obviously, and, dude, it's got to ensure so much confidence throughout that team every single time he goes on the mound, and even when he's able to close big moments like that. Not that the rest of the pitching staff hasn't closed, some big moments throughout this stretch, but when you're in, a game like this and you're struggling to get runs and your pitcher's coming off the mound fired up after, knocking down 2 double plays like that, back-to-back innings, it's electric stuff. And Kerry Carpenter, obviously, he's not batting against lefties. So for him to kind of keep, that inside of him, and then, when he's called upon, he blasts it out of the park. Just what an at-bat. Kerry Carpenter, clutch as ever. And now you go back to Detroit, Jeff. You can finish it off in the D. And there's going to be some other games going on throughout the week when they're playing too. So downtown is going to be straight rocking.
Yeah, I have the Tigers winning in 5. So I have another appearance by Tarek Skubal. But to your point, when he's out there on the mound, you just know it's not just like, oh, you have a chance. Like, you're like, we can have minimal offense and still find a way to win. Like it's not even like we have a chance. It's like we're going to win this game. If we can just if a couple guys can get loose, you can have a Kerry Carpenter launch a ball 110 miles per hour off his bat, and then you 3 guys score. Then yeah, you're going to win that game. You're going to win 3-0. Like that's the Tariq Skubal effect. He's special, man. Watching him pitch, even for someone like me that didn't grow up a huge baseball fan, it doesn't matter if you are or aren't. You appreciate the arm talent. Like you appreciate not just 100-mile-per-hour rockets.
It's crazy.
Like it's insane. Honestly.
I mean, you just appreciate the greatness. Like it's anyone in any sport that's able to dominate like he does and do what he does. It's unbelievable. The fact that he's on Detroit, and then you have like the only bad thing about this whole thing, like what Gentry said, it's like the bats do have to wake up at some point, and they just like today was just nerve-wracking. Like you up against Matt Boyd, and you have 0 runs, and you have all of these opportunities, and you just can't figure it out until the 9th. Like that's brutal. Like you have to be able to put that together earlier. So hopefully on Wednesday, Comerica is going to be packed. Like I'm working downtown. I get off work at 6:00, so I don't know if I'm going to be late to the show because usually I'm on time. But like the game's going to end around 6:00. I'm sure it's a 4:00 game. It's going to be like 6:30, packed in Detroit. So I don't. I'm pumped. I'm pumped up. I'm going to be down there.
To your point, Boone, I think like Comerica Park and obviously being at home will help a lot with those hitters settling in. And obviously when you win a game like that, you kind of get some more confidence in yourself. But Jeff, to your point, it's like when Skubal goes out there, as long as you do like 60% of your job, you're going to be in a good spot to win the game. So as long as you can do a little bit to help him out, he's going to put you in a position to win the game. So the guy is just unreal, like best pitcher in the game without a doubt.
Why not just win the next 2 and don't even have to go back to Cleveland? We don't want to even go to Cleveland, huh, boys? Let's just win the next 2. How about that?
I may or may not be in the building on Thursday.
There we go. Let's just win the next 2 then. Let's just get it done. Get the job done, fellas.
This man's made enough this MLB season. I'm sure he can spare a ticket out there.
I do. I have to. I got to see the city. And then obviously, hey, that's Red Wings opening night, so I might be juggling back and forth down there.
Hey.
Yeah, you got to take some videos down there. I want to see that environment, man.
Oh, I will.
That's going to be insane.
It's going to be unreal.
I'm pumped to see even Wednesday, the first playoff game since 2014, 15?
Yeah, it's been basically a decade.
It's going to be packed. Like that's why I think it's going to be hard for Cleveland to win. Like you could play as good as you want, but with crowds and everything, the city of Detroit shows up. We know what it's like, and it's going to be a hard place to win at.
Hey Caleb, shout out Caleb. He says, "Let's go, boys."
We go, Caleb.
I know Caleb's fired up. He was on Twitter posting videos about it too. He was calling people out too. Who's the kid from Mars? Dude from
Ohio State, dude. He's the worst human being alive, dude. He goes at Michigan all the time because he's so mad that his Ohio State Buckeyes haven't been good for 3 years. He's a crybaby. No, you would Klotz. You would hate this guy. You would say Klotz. Go before you talk. Go research this guy. This is the worst human on planet Earth, dude. He doesn't deserve to be
about Ohio State. You might be true.
His name's Ohio State. I didn't say Ohio State.
Kind of a hard name. I'm not gonna lie.
He's a loser.
It is kind of clever.
It's a clever name, but the guy's a loser.
I can't lie.
Yeah,
he's
creative.
A loser. He's a Cleveland fan. He's from
Good on
Ohio.
him.
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland fan definitely drops the overall a couple of points. Can't deny that.
Yeah, that guy stinks.
He's got some heart in him. He's got some brains.
Yeah, I don't know who he is, but
better than those Wolverines getting killed over there out in Washington. That's all I'm saying, boy. That's all I'm saying. Jeremiah Smith, another one-handed.
We'll address that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll address that later. Oh my gosh. Well, I see. Jeff O'Neill. He says my friend knows an insider for the Lions and was told they are in trade talks for Crosby. Well, hey, Jeff O'Neill. Hey, I don't know. I trust you, Jeff O'Neill. I do. Hey, no, I trust you.
There's no way Antonio Pierce lets that man walk.
John Parker, if Chris Ilitch doesn't pay Skubal, I will riot. I mean, yeah. Remember when that was a conversation? Should they trade?
There's no way they don't.
I was just about to say we've come a long way from wanting to trade him.
And then they had a pulse, and it was not only a pulse; it was hottest team in baseball pulse. Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah. Some people wanted to trade. I don't want to like it. There's like those things in sports, and it's like with the Lions to where it's like, do you want to pull receipts from people, or do you want to just say like, we're winning games, let's move on from the receipts? Like, we get it. Like, you were wrong. All right. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things. It was like those people who are like, I believed in the Tigers in March. Like, dude, like in spring training, I knew this Tigers team was going to be a playoff team. Like, dude, no, you didn't. No one did. Not one person in this world did. So,
can I play this video of the dude, Ohio Tate? Can I play that?
Oh my!
I'm in. Yeah, I want. Yeah,
we can play. We can go back to back with Ohio State and Caleb's.
Let's see the. Let's just play this so Lukas can learn.
This guy sucks, dude. He is the worst human of all time. He is so bad. He's so cringy too.
See.
All right, let's play this. Let me.
Only guy over at Barstool that I hate is this guy.
All right, let's listen to Ohio
Look at him
State.
too.
This is after game 1. Did he post the game?
I'm not liking it. Right
this was this morning. This was this morning.
Listen, so I'm heading to Cleveland for game 2. And I'm reading, the news and notes and the pregame articles. And I stumble upon this quote from the Tigers' third baseman, in which he says that the reason the Tigers lost game 1 is because the Cleveland ground crew watered the infield before the Tigers took pregame, but not again before the actual game. And it cost them the game. Do you guys remember game 1? It was literally 100-0. If there was a mercy rule in Major League Baseball, they would have used it on
This guy
Saturday.
sucks, dude.
I mean, the Guardians had 5 runs before the Tigers even got 1 out. Their starting pitcher couldn't get an out, so they yanked him. They bring in the reliever. First pitch, 3-run bomb to the bleachers.
What? Who is this man, dude? Ohio Tate.
I don't know.
Lucas, do you claim him?
Yeah, you claim him.
Dude, he is the worst human on the internet, dude. I hate this guy. Like, he literally, he all his whole life was just like trying to prove Michigan cheated. And actually, no, I almost said something. I can't. Let's take a step back, Booner.
Hey, he did just tweet. He did just tweet about an hour ago, and he said, "Upon here, I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see what he tweeted." Because he did give a little love. I don't know. This is post, L, so I guess it's a little different.
Because he's been saying that Skubal shouldn't win the Cy Young. He's been saying, he was like, I don't think he wanted this reliever or the closer for them to win it.
He said, upon seeing all the available evidence, I would cast my vote for Tariq Skubal to be the Cy Young this year. Upon seeing all the available evidence, basically saying, yeah, he shut us the fuck out. Like that's basically what he's saying.
Does he get any point boost, Boone? Does overall stay the same?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Props to him for admitting it, though.
I mean, maybe if I met him in person or something. I just the stuff with the Michigan stuff, like he had this whole back and forth with Dave Portnoy about the Michigan stuff, and he was like trying to make a deal with Dave, and it's like, dude, just so you know, like he's trying to make a deal for the Ohio State game this year. It's like, buddy, we won a national championship last year. Like right now, everything else is irrelevant. I don't care if you win the Michigan game this year. Like we won a national championship. Like it's so irrelevant. And he's like trying to argue with Dave Portnoy about this. It's like, dude, and he's just crying on Twitter about it. It's like, dude, you're the most annoying human on planet Earth. And now he's doing all this stuff with the Guardians. I hope we win the next 2 games, and he just has to be quiet and can't say anything. I hope so.
I understand your point of view from a Michigan fan, because it's like when Michigan's good, like they're never able to keep it going and be contenders the next season, like the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, or the Clemsons.
Let's just move on from this, dude.
When you go that long, national championship, it just means a little bit more, and so you can afford to sign Sharon Moore to a contract and take that 10-year build up to another maybe 3-year run at. If they still have the 12 team, you can get to like the final 8.
I'm not commenting on Michigan until later today.
Yeah, Booner's he's on the stand.
I know. You guys aren't putting me on the stand. I'm stepping up on the stand myself.
I'm proud of you, Boone.
You know what? We'll get to that. I Mike, now that you never really got to get your Tigers, I guess, playoff prediction here. I know you're obviously high on them. how far can they take this thing, Mike? We didn't really get to pick your brain on this. Big Tigers guy. How far can they take it?
I mean, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know how other people think, but I think the Guardians are the best team that they would face until they go to the World Series, and I think maybe the Padres or the Phillies. But I think if they beat the Guardians, anything's possible against the Yankees or the Royals. Obviously, if you play the Royals, you play another team within your division, and you've had some success against them, obviously, to end the year too. So I think anything's possible. I think if they advance past the Guardians, they can make it to the World Series. I think they would have an easier time with one of those two teams compared to the Guardians, in my opinion. The Guardians were still really good down the stretch, and even the Yankees right now, not the people that you would expect to be showing up for them. So you never know. You never know. Coach Walk says not the Dodgers. No, I think the Padres beat the Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers even make it out of this round. So,
and just to clarify, no dollars are intervening with your thought process. Maybe a bet, maybe a World Series bet.
Is there a narrative? Is there a narrative on?
This is opinion, Mike. Right?
Before the Tigers made a run, I did put in the Padres to win the World Series. So. But they're going to beat the Dodgers anyways. They have the best lineup in all of baseball, a plan. And they have the best overall pitching staff, I think, left in the playoffs. I think them and the Phillies will be a great series, and they'll go ahead.
Unc, I have a plan, all right? Where do we send bets to die as a crew?
What do we send?
Oh, no. Don't do that to me.
Well, I'm saying if it's Tigers Padres, I think you should send that bet.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll be totally okay with it. I'll be rooting for the Tigers either way. I don't care if
people who don't know
lose and the Tigers win.
We have a group chat. A betting group chat. Yours truly made it with a bunch of the bettors from here and some of our friends, Easy, those guys. And anytime you put a parlay or a player in there, it loses. It's an automatic. It's like
I can confirm. Yeah,
and I don't think, honestly, someone in like 2 weekends of football, I don't think anyone sent a parlay in there. I think people have started to realize it. So it's like if you need someone to lose or you need a team to lose, bet on it and then just send it in there. Send a slip in there. And little maybe we should do that for the Lions.
Yeah, I can confirm everything you just said because Spenny was hot, and then I tailed like 3 of his bets, lost all of them. So, and he didn't send the ones he won. He was cooking, like he was winning everything. So, it is what it is. But fellas, it's a great day to be a Detroit Tigers fan, and it'll be a great week this week to be a Detroit Lions fan. They take on the Cowboys. You guys watched last night Sunday Night Football? A little ugly. But the Cowboys won. They beat the Steelers. And now the Lions are going to travel to Dallas to take them on. No DeMarcus Lawrence. No Micah Parsons. You have Jalen Tolbert making some plays. I wasn't familiar with his game. He was making some plays. What's your guys' early thoughts on the Cowboys? Maybe an early week. Like we'll get into more break, but just like the vibe you're getting here. Okay.
Feel great.
Yeah.
Klotz eating his fingers over there.
He's already starting. Okay.
Kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like that.
He's got the baby oil and everything.
They have a lot of guys out. This offense should absolutely cook. Like the Lions offense should put 40 up on this Dallas defense. The Steelers could have scored 30. They just looked so bad offensively. The Lions should be able to go in there with what they did last week. Like figure that. Hey, why don't we put a back-to-back 40-point game together, huh? And do that. Put 40 up. How good would it be? I'm going to tell you guys this real quick. And this is all part of the Booner Pat. How nice would it be a revenge game in Dallas after what happened last year, fellas? The whole Taylor Decker reporting, all of that. You go into Dallas with the sweet revenge that you need, and you hang 40 up on the Dallas Cowboys, beat them by 30. Like, how nice would that feel? That would be one of the best things of all time. Defense is better than last year. Offense is finally going. And you know what you should do to top it all off? Why not throw a little Taylor Decker touchdown on it, too? Why don't they run that same play at some point on Sunday night?
You're already up 30 and you run it. Just an extra FU.
Just to do it. I can't wait for this beatdown, dude. I'm pumped.
Honestly, I have 3 words. Run the ball. That's all you're going to need against the Cowboys. David Montgomery's getting in the end zone twice. I could already see it already. Both they're going to control the game on the ground. Jared Goff's still going to do his thing. I I don't even know how you could say this, but I think this is going to be the best game from our offense. And I know that's hard to say after Jared Goff was perfect last game and the ground game looked good. But this offense is going to light up the Dallas Cowboys. Boone, I'm right with you. I think this will be like another 40-point performance. I think the Lions are going to come out, especially off the bye week. You get Frank Ragnow back. You get Brian Branch back on that defense. We know how much he was missed last week. He's going to be a big factor in locking down CeeDee Lamb and helping CeeDee Lamb, or cover CeeDee Lamb rather. So the Lions, run the ball, do your thing, run up the score too. It's going to happen.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions offense found themselves last week against the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Laporta looked healthy. The run game looked the same. Amon-Ra did his thing. Jamison Williams did his thing without Frank Ragnow. So you give a chance to possibly play Frank, like Gentry said. But I think the most important thing is this Detroit Lions team, they remember this game from last year. Every player knows that they should have won that game, that they got hoed, they got dicked down in Dallas, whatever you want to call it. And Ben Johnson, that offense has got a week to prep, get healthier. Brian Branch is going to be coming back. I think this is going to be all three levels. The Detroit Lions are going to dominate. Even if CeeDee Lamb has 130 yards, which I hope does not happen, but I think get ready. It's probably going to happen. That's just what CeeDee Lamb does. The Detroit Lions are still going to win this game by 2 or 3 possessions because Rico Dowdle and fat-ass Ezekiel Elliott are not moving the ball at all. It's by far going to be the worst offense that the Detroit Lions defense has got to go up against, and they're going to dominate. And especially with no Micah, no DeMarcus Lawrence, like Gentry said, run the ball.
Yeah, here's the interesting thing. I mean, you mentioned, and this is my, I guess it's the script. It's the game script. This Lions secondary is going to be tested. I mean, they just are. The Dallas Cowboys are last in the league in rushing. So the Lions are what, 3rd, 4th in the league in run defense? So like, okay, that cancels out. They're not running the ball. Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle. Sorry, it's not happening. Dak Prescott. Sorry, Lucas. Rico Dowdle. It's not happening. And then the other part, the secondary, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Tolbert, whoever they have, Jake Ferguson. That's going to – dude, Dak's probably going to throw 40, 50 times this game on Sunday.
Sure.
He just is. So I think, honestly, the secondary, Brian Branch being back is significant. Forcing turnovers is significant. And you saw how last year's game kind of went. I don't think it'll be that type of game where it's like 20-20, late in the game, it's close. Like I do the Lions are healthier. They're the better team. Even on the road, they tend to play better. But, guys, the secondary is going to be tested. And, I mean, we talk about them gelling, giving them some grace, which they haven't been awful, but it's going to be a test for them. I mean, that's really the biggest spot. That's the bottom line. It's like not the run defense. The pass rush is going to have plenty of opportunities to get after Dak. He's going to drop back 40, 45 times, 50 times even, especially if they're down. It's just can these guys get home and force a turnover or two? And I think Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold now coming off a bye week. Terrion, everyone gets a rest week. Let's go. I'm not as worried. Like, they had the rookie Marshawn Nealon out of Western Michigan. He got hurt against the Steelers. He was the backup to Micah, I think, or the backup to DeMarcus Lawrence.
They've got injuries everywhere right now on defense.
So they're injury riddled. They're in a tough spot. They're wounded. So Lions secondary is going to be the biggest X factor by far.
For sure. Because you got to think about it too, Jeff. Like right now, like Dak in the 5 games, he's averaging 285 passing yards a game. Like this versus Steelers, he had 350. Week before 220, 380, 290, and then 180 the week 1. Like that's their game. Like they don't have a RB1 over there that's going to run the ball 15, 20 times a game. Like they just don't have that, so they're not going to. It's going to rely. Like I think last year Dak might have thrown for almost like 400 yards versus us. I'm pretty sure like 350 or something like that. So like that was what they wanted to do last year. But like guys, one thing that just pops out to me is like look at their 5 games that the Cowboys have played. They played the Steelers, not a great offense at all. The Giants, not a great offense. The Ravens, you could say good offense, but guess what happened in that game? They lost. The Saints, you could say that could be a good offense with Derek Carr and the weapons they have. Guess what? They lost 44-19. And then the Browns, and they won that game. And that's another bad offense. So like their 3 wins are all versus below average offenses, like very, very, very mid, if not bad offenses in the NFL. Like those are their 3 wins. And the only 2 times they played a legit, like decent offensive teams when it comes with the Saints and the Ravens, they lose both of those games. Like they haven't played like the 2 losses, like the wins they have not played legit offenses. Like the Lions is going to be the best offense that they're going up against with Ben Johnson. And then I don't think they have with all the injuries they have on defense and no running back and no running game. I don't see a way that this game's going to end up being a close game. Like I don't know if it's because we're coming off a bye week or what, and guys are coming back like Brian Branch and Frank. I just feel that confident in this week, and I don't know what it is. I'm extremely confident. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and look at the Vikings game, but like 1 week at a time. But just looking at this, I'm not worried about this Dallas team at all. They should be able to go in there and take care of business. I'd be very disappointed if they don't go win this game.
I mean, they have Dallas. They're on the road in Dallas. Then they go on the road to the Vikings, and then they take on the Titans at home, and then they go on the road to Green Bay and Houston. So 4 of the next 5 games are on the road against tough opponents. Like, and especially, which we will talk about the Vikings today because we, in actually a couple of minutes we'll get more into it. But guys, the next 4 or 5 on the road and those opponents, like the lines are going to be tested, man. Like, and that's Dan spoke about that in his press conference, just like throughout the season getting tested. And, last year, the Ravens blowout loss, the Dallas game and how it ended. Like these games help kind of mold you. These next 4 games, 4 road games. Because the Titans game, I mean, come on. I'm sorry. It's your boy, Will Levis, but no. The other 4, though, on the road. That's a test. Like, especially how those teams are playing right now. Especially, it's a test. The Dallas game, not as much as the others, but the Vikings, Packers, and Texans definitely are going to be a test.
I saw
it's not just this Dallas game. It's the next 4 or 5.
Today, something came out today. The Lions have one of the hardest schedules remaining. I think like the second hardest schedule remaining, just based off win percentage out of the teams they have to play. So like the next 4 weeks, like you're going through a gauntlet, and you have to win this Dallas game. Now, I'm not going to throw out the must win because we do that all the time, but it's just like this is one of those games where you should be expected to win this because you're going to have a battle versus the Vikings. You're going to have a battle versus the Texans, versus the Packers. Like, you have battles that are coming up. A game like Dallas, like that's why I think it hurt so bad for the Steelers last night, because the Steelers, like, you got to think about that, guys. Like, for the Steelers, that was a win that they should have had. Like, there's no reason the Steelers should have ever lost to the Cowboys, and they let that one slip away. The Lions should be able to go in there and dominate. The Lions are a way better football team than the Steelers. They should be able to dominate this team, especially if they have no Micah Parsons. Like, you should win this football game.
What do you think of the Vikings 5-0? I guess the totality of it. I mean, they beat the 49ers, they beat the Texans. They just beat the Jets, which, they forced Aaron Rodgers to 3 interceptions, which he hasn't done in like a decade. I think the most he's had besides that, I think, was against the Lions when Kirby picked him off. That's when he left Green Bay. He had 2 picks. He had 3 against the Vikings. Their defense is playing really well. Their offense didn't play. Sam Darnold got hurt, but he didn't look good either in the game, really. I mean, he had some good plays, but he was like 14 of 30 or something like that. So watching the game,
0 touchdowns.
It was a little weird, but Aaron Jones left with an injury. What do you guys make of this Vikings team? And right now they're favored to win the NFC North. The Lions are second at this point, but they're undefeated in conference play, I believe. And they're undefeated in the NFL, not just the NFL, but they beat every NFC opponent. If you check the number 1 seed odds, that's the team everyone's looking at. So you're either looking, depending on who you ask, they're either a contender or a pretender. That's what the Vikings are right now. And honestly, Sam Darnold is like the biggest reason I would lean pretender, because I don't know. Sam Darnold last year didn't play for the 49ers. He's playing now for the Vikings. There's going to be film on him now. So as the season goes on, I think they're going to struggle. I think now you look at the schedule they've had. They've beat some good teams. But there's a part of me that thinks this Vikings thing will come to an end. I think they'll drop some games. They're not going to be undefeated, obviously. But I don't even think they're like a 13, 14-win team. Like, to me, this team, I can easily see them going 12-5 or 11-6, or hell, if they really crumble, 10-7. And I think the Lions will just keep on pace, beat tough teams. And when it's all said and done, you'll see they're the better team. They have the better record. But where are you guys at with the Vikings being 5-0? And I don't want to look ahead, but fraudulent or rightfully so, they should be favored to win the NFC North and potentially the NFC in general.
I mean, I think, honestly, I don't think it's a fluke. But, I don't think they're going to be this good to end the year. I think their defense has stepped up tremendously. No one thought they would be this good. Obviously, like you pointed out, Jeff, Sam Darnold is playing way above expectations. And I still think he'll be able to play at this level to a certain extent with all the weapons, and they're just going to let him have his freedom throwing the ball and whatnot. But if Aaron Jones is banged up, that's going to cause a little bit of problems on that offense, as we've seen in past years. Without the running game, they're just not the same when you have to throw it every single time. But my more of the concern for the Vikings, if I was one of their fans, is if the defense can hold up throughout the rest of the year. Obviously, they went out in the offseason and made acquired some guys to help out that edge room and get into the quarterback, and even the secondary has stepped up, rightfully so, this far. But I just don't think that over a 17-game season, over a whole season, that they are going to be able to hold up. I still think the offense will be good and the team will be good in general. Like I said, I don't think it's a fluke that they're this good because they have so many pieces on offense. But I think it's more of the surprise of Sam Darnold playing this well in the defense. But I don't think the defense will be able to do this over a whole season.
I mean, they're not Super Bowl contenders. I think they're a team, when you look at the end of it, they're like, okay, they have Sam Darnold. You're not going to win a Super Bowl, especially when you don't have elite talent on defense. But I think by default, I think this is a 12 to 13 win team because you look at what they're doing offensively, that's nice. But defensively, there's not many weaknesses. Like, they don't have stars, but they just have guys that know their job. They know where they're supposed to be. And Brian Flores is coaching them up. Like, the rest of their schedule, these are the offenses they're going to have to face. The Lions are the next game, so good offense. But then you have the Rams with no Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp, most likely. Then you have the Colts. Then you have the Jaguars. Then you have the Titans. Then you have the Bears. Then you have the Cardinals, Falcons, Bears again, Seahawks, Packers, Lions. So there's really, outside the Lions and Packers, they're not facing an elite offense. And I think Brian Flores is a good enough coach where even if they have injuries, he's going to be able to keep that team in games. And I think when they come to the playoffs, like the Lions and the Vikings, I think, but even maybe the Packers, like there's going to be a huge race to the top of the NFC North. I think if you win that NFC North, you're going to be the number one seed. But the problem is, I could see potentially all three of these teams, depending on how the NFC West shakes out, making the playoffs. And I don't think that's a comfortable position to go and host the Vikings or host the Packers compared to hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again or hosting the Atlanta Falcons, a team like that. So I think the Vikings, they're legit as far as being a threat to the NFC North, but I don't think they're full Super Bowl contenders, but they'll knock you out of the playoffs. Like, they're just a very well-coached team, and I think they're only going to get a little bit better throughout the season because they're going to figure out the team a little bit more.
It's tough. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't like keep them a contender. I don't think they're a contender, like a Super Bowl contender. You know, like I just think, fellas, like for me, it's the last two games they had are one possession games. You guys remember 2 years ago when they went on that massive run and they were like go to the playoffs and everyone's like, they're just a fraud. Like, there's like this team, like, yeah, they had, what was the record? It was like 12 one possession games or 13 one possession games, like the most in NFL history. So like, I'm not saying that's what it is, because they did beat the Texans very, very, like they dominated that Texans game. Yeah. But then the Giants game was the other game where they really like dominated. But the other three games were all one possession. The Packers game, a 2-point game, which could have gone either way. And then like this Jets game, the Jets basically, I mean, you could say, yeah, it was their defense, but like the Jets basically were just like, here, we don't want to win a football game. Like Robert Saleh and them are like, yeah, well, he like went over to Kevin O'Connell and said, hey, I'm just going to let you know, like everything that we don't want to do, like everything we want to do on offense, we're not doing it. We want you guys to win the game. Like, that's what it felt like. So like, I don't know, guys. I'm not saying they're frauds because they're winning games in a really very high level and they're winning it in different ways, especially defensively. But they're not, like, to me, their schedule is easy coming up, so they're going to look like a team with a lot of wins, I think. Like, I think they're going to be able to get to 11 wins, but they're just not going to, I don't know. They're not going to be a Super Bowl team. I think they're going to easily get beat in the playoffs.
Yeah, because I think once you get into the playoffs, like, yeah, regular season, we've seen good teams lose in the playoffs. I think what helps sustain a playoff team is obviously quarterback play. And if Sam Darnold's playing like this in the playoffs, take out the Jets game, then yeah, you have a pretty good chance of winning some playoff games. I just, like, the Lions, they have Jared Goff. You look at NFC contenders and you look at quarterback play, you look at head coach, and obviously the Vikings have a great head coach. Like, I have more respect for Kevin O'Connell. Even though we all had our top 10 head coach rankings, and we all had Kevin kind of he was in the mix. Like, he's that guy, like, for sure, how good of a coach he is offensively. And you could tell by the way what he's doing with Sam Darnold, not to take any credit away from him. But I think he's doing an excellent job coaching. And I think Brian Flores, besides Spags, is the best DC in football right now. He's top 2 in the NFL. So what they're doing coaching is incredible. The players they have are playing above their expectations. So, that's coaching. I think the Vikings are a good team. Like right now, I want to show this graphic because we posted. I think we posted this. Yeah, I want to make sure we did, just so I can. Yeah, we did, and it's the divisional odds for the NFC North. And right now, you can get the Vikings are even money. Like, I mean, check this out. They're even money.
Crazy.
Lions coming at 2. Let me get rid of this for you. So Vikings are even money. Lions coming at 2 plus 170. Packers plus 550, Bears plus 1400. So the Vikings right now, according to Vegas, it's like, yeah, get them even money. They're going to win this.
Hey, go get the Lions right now. How about that? Plus 170. Why would you not go just responsibly put everything you have on the Lions?
Responsibly.
Yeah, I mean that's how Vegas feels. Yeah, plus 170 for the Lions, pretty good deal. And they're 3-1. Vikings are 5-0. Vikings are on a bye week this week. Lions beat the Cowboys. This changes. Now you're literally one game basically away. Vikings could drop one. Their next handful of games, I mean, you kind of went through and talked about it, Lucas, but the Vikings, they play after their bye week. They play the Lions. They play the Rams, which, the Rams are hurt right now. I get that. I think that's Thursday Night Football. But the Colts aren't a gimme. Like you said, Jacksonville Jags, Tennessee, Chicago. They've had the toughest part of their schedule. But to end the year, that's where they have some tough games. Like you were saying, I mean, the Falcons, Bears, Seahawks, Packers, Lions to end the year, like they could drop 4 of the 6 right there. So I don't know what to believe anymore. We've seen teams
they could win a lot of games.
So that's the thing. It's just obviously health is a huge factor, but with coaching, the thing with coaching is like these guys, you can sustain a certain level of play when you have elite coaching. Like these guys, Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell, like they can keep these guys playing at a high level. Lions just you got to take them down after this Dallas game. But they're legit. I wouldn't say Super Bowl contender, but that NFC North is going to be tough. I mean, right now the Lions are a wild card team technically at this point.
It's crazy to think. Like if you probably go back to some of our old shows, and I'm sure like different shows around the city talking about the Vikings in the NFC North preseason and in the offseason. A lot of the conversation was like the Bears were going to be 3rd. The Packers are the team contending with the Lions. And everyone was like, oh, the Vikings are going to be in the top 5 pick. They're probably only going to win 3 or 4 games, maybe 5 if they get lucky. And like when they won the other day, I'm sitting there, I'm like, that was like the max. I don't know what their over-under was for win totals. I'm guessing it was like 4.5 or 5.5. You're sitting there and they're already like after week 5, they're already 5 wins in. Like that's the kind of like it's like it's shocking to see the odds and just think like the Packers are 3rd and the Vikings are the favorite right now.
Yeah.
If you would have shown me that 3 months ago, I would have laughed at you. I would have never believed you.
I had them 4th in the division.
Yeah, most people did. I think most of our show did. I'm pretty sure most of our show did. We can go back and look. I think we did NFC North projections.
I think we all had them winning like 4 games. And Boone, what did the Lions open up at to win the North this year? It was definitely minus odds, but what was it?
I'm not sure what the open was. It might have been like, honestly, it might have been like plus 1 something. I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that, but that sounds about right because of the Packers. I feel like the Packers were right there.
I mean, they have and I see this in the injury to Aaron Jones. Like, I think that's going to be that'll be significant. Like Mike was saying, that's, I mean, they'll have a tough time winning. They have nobody. I think Ty Chandler, he fumbled, I think, against the Jets. I believe he fumbled. So he had a tough time out there. So in the Lions, after the week 2 or 3, they were still favorites, even though the Vikings were undefeated. It's weird. They were like 2-1 and the Vikings were 3-0 and they were still favorites. So they were like a bigger favorite or something like that, or after 2 games. So it was something like that. And now it's just straight up Vikings are favorited. So
yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting if the Lions win on Sunday. They're 4-1, Vikings 5-0. Like that matchup on Sunday, the following week, that's going to be the biggest matchup of the weekend. Like everyone's going to be looking if like the Vikings are 5, they're going to be no matter what 5-0 going into that matchup. And the Lions sitting there, if they win at 4-1, that's probably one of the best games of the season.
Probably game of the year so far.
It's on 1 o'clock. It's at 1 o'clock. It should be prime time.
Is it? Let me see.
I think the Vikings, I mean, especially like how they're built, maybe not the talent that they have on defense, but I view them the same as like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like as far as like threat to the NFC, where it's like the quarterbacks holding him back, but he's playing really well. But the thing that I like more for Minnesota is the coaching. Like Kevin O'Connell, like the Vikings went on a winning streak last year with Nick fucking Mullins. And now you add the fact that you have Brian Flores in year 2. Like that team, if they get hot, I think in the playoffs, that's a team that can contend for a Super Bowl. That's just a big if. But I think for the Vikings' sake, it's good that they're going to have that tough stretch going into the playoffs. That's why I think when you get, like, if they get in the wild card round, they don't win the NFC North, which I don't think they will, but I think there's a good chance that they could. If they get in the wild card round, that's the last wild card team you want to face.
Yeah. And I'm willing to bet when the Vikings and the Lions play, obviously the Lions are 4-1 and the Vikings are still 5-0. I guarantee that division, it will be even odds at that point in time. That plus 170 will be back down to even.
Well,
so
if the Lions win this Sunday, it'll go to probably even, and then they match up. I honestly, I would keep an eye on this too, guys. Starting on week 5, the NFL is able to flex Sunday night football games, and from week 5 to week 10, they're able to flex too. The Sunday night game in week 5 is the New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, depending on what the Jets' position is come week 5, like whatever happens this week, and the Steelers, if you're sitting there with, like, say the Jets lose this week, they're sitting at 2-4. The Steelers lose, they're 3-3, and then you have a 5-0 Vikings versus a 4-1 Lions. I wouldn't be shocked if there was a call that says, "Hey, let's flip this Lions game to the Sunday night football game." I would not be shocked.
I hope so.
Especially as soon as that Cowboys game's done. If like that next Monday, they're probably going to be like, "Let's get on the phone and figure this thing out." That's the biggest game of the year.
What about this comment, guys? But don't lie. If you guys don't win the North, I'd consider that quite disappointing. We'll make it harder to get to the bowl. Still a lot of football left, though. Excited to see it play out. If they don't win the NFC North, how disappointing.
I mean, yeah, it would be disappointing.
Not that they won't, but hypothetically, if they don't. Sorry, continue. I know Booner's answer. He'll say they will.
It's still a chance of like this team. Like I trust Jared Goff to go on the road. Like I think Jared Goff's shown that like in big time games he shows up. But as far as in the playoffs, it doesn't matter once you're in there. I mean, it does when you talk about the number 1 seed. But this line team can be anybody anywhere. But as far as goals going into the season, I don't care how good the Minnesota Vikings are. If they're going to go 14-2, you better be one of those 2 losses, and the Lions better keep up with them because the Lions are simply the better football team. The Vikings have the easier schedule, but it's not close in the talent wise, like defensively, which is the Lions' weakness right now. The Detroit Lions still have more talent offensively. That's the Vikings' strength right now. I would argue. I know they have Justin Jefferson, but the Lions, especially in the offensive line and the quarterback, have the better offense. Head coach, love Kevin O'Connell right now. Dan Campbell's hotter. What you look, he's done the last 2 seasons. So the Lions are better at all 3 phases than the Minnesota Vikings. So if a team like that wins NFC North, I get that they're doing their thing, but they're going to have to drop some games eventually. And the Lions are a team that they should be a 13, 14-win team at the rate that they're on. So there's no way that it wouldn't be disappointing if you're a Lions fan if the Vikings win the NFC North.
Yeah, I would say disappointing. Yeah, I would say disappointing. I think no doubt. Even like you said, Klotz, the schedule. I mean, yeah, I don't give a damn. Now, doesn't mean they can't still make a Super Bowl, obviously, but you just want that. You want the home game, right? And the number 1 seed in the NFC with the 49ers dropping one against the Cardinals, like last thing I would expect is like, oh, the 49ers lost. Oh, you still have the Vikings undefeated. You know, like it's like, oh, geez. Because the Lions, you should be pretty – if the hypothetical scenario, if the Vikings weren't this good, you'd be like, oh, yeah, the number 1 seed is it's coming. You know, the 49ers are wounded. Eagles are wounded. The Cowboys are dealing with injuries. You're like, okay, here we go. But no, it's like the Vikings are 5-0. They're undefeated. They beat like 3 tough teams. So it would be disappointing. It wouldn't mean season's over. But that's the goal, right? You win your division, like Dan says. And then you figure it out from there. And then maybe you get the number 1 seed. But first, like I said earlier, I said this weeks ago, first thing should always be winning your division. And unfortunately, the Vikings are red hot right now. So I think they still will. It's really just those games they face the Vikings. Those 2 games are now one of the probably, honestly, big picture, the most important games. Big picture. No doubt.
Guys, this is the situation with this Vikings team. I'm going to say if the Vikings were to win the division, it's not because the Lions, I have full confidence they beat the Vikings in 2 weeks. Full confidence. Now, if the Lions beat the Vikings and take care of business versus them twice, and the Vikings, they have the 20th easiest schedule in the NFL. The Lions have the 3rd. I don't care. Like, you have the most talent. Yeah, you have the more talent on your football team. Though you have the third hardest roster or schedule in the NFL. Like, you're going to go play some absolute tough teams. Like, you have some of the hardest matchups left remaining in the NFL. It's going to build, like, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get better. Like, the Vikings are going through an absolute easy, like, just a walk in the park the rest of the season if you look at their schedule. So, like, if you beat the Vikings twice and they go out and win a bunch of football games and you take care of business, like, are you sitting here expecting the Lions just to win out? Like, if you beat the Vikings twice, not to drop another game the rest of the year and just win one or lose one game all year? Like, no, probably not. They're probably going to drop another game. So, like, if you do look at it and you're like, all right, you end up with 3 losses and the Vikings have 2 and it's to the Lions, or the Vikings have 3 and you end up with 4, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, like, that's the most disappointing season. Like, no, the Vikings just had the easiest schedule of all time, and they just are finding ways to win games. It's not like they're a great football team. They just got lucky with their schedule. They went and took care of business when they needed to, and they made plays down the stretch. And you look at this Jets game. The Jets just handed the game over to them. They just literally just said, here you go, with injuries on the Vikings. So, like, you look at games like that, like, if you lose the division, you're not going to be like, man, like, no, it's like, as long as you beat the Vikings, and if they somehow win the division because they're a fraud team that somehow had the easiest schedule and they went out and won all of these games and they just found a way to pull them off, I'm not going to just start playing. Like, I know how good this Lions team, Klotz, to your point, they have one of the best rosters in the NFL. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here disappointed if some wild thing happens and the Vikings, like, they're 5-0 right now. Like, if they keep this up, I still don't sit here and think they're a Super Bowl contender. Like, they have some players, but eventually this thing's going to fall off. And if they somehow pull it off, then I'm just going to be like, all right, we'll see you in the playoffs and we'll beat you in the playoffs, just like we beat you twice during the season. Like, that's my mindset with it. It's not like, because I think, like, if they won it, guys, like, it's such like a one-off. Like, you're just like, how did that happen? And it's not your fault as long as you take care of your business. It's just like, they just, like, if you, like, their schedule is so easy, guys. And I'm shocked it's not lower than like 19th or 20th. They're tied for like 20th, I think. But, like, their schedule is so easy, guys. They play the Falcons, the Bears twice, the Seahawks, the Jags, the Rams, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Colts, and then us twice. Like, it's they should be able to go win almost all of those games if they're playing the way they have the first 5 weeks. So you're sitting in a spot to where it's like, you can only control what you can control. If you're going to sit there and you're going to go win 13, or say you win 12 games and they have just an easy catwalk of a schedule, and they go win 13, like, there's no reason to beat yourself up, and Lions fans should, like, go at the Lions for that. Like, zero reason. That, like, look at the schedules difference. It's insane. Like, the Lions, they play the Vikings twice. They play the Texans, the Bills, the Cowboys this week, the Packers twice still, the 49ers, the Colts, the Jags, the Bears twice. Like, dude, they have an absolute tough schedule, especially on the road too. So,
yeah,
no, I'm not going to sit here and, like, if they end up somehow dropping it off a fraud situation, it's not disappointing. As long as you go win some playoff games, that's what I'm looking at. Super Bowl, that's what matters.
My only
and I think
divisions fall off. People drop divisions all the time in football and in the NFL. It happens all the time. The best team doesn't win a division and they still can go win a Super Bowl. Like, that's why sometimes when you get to a point, like the Packers, as good as they were for that whole time, like, there were years they just randomly dropped it to the Vikings or the Bears. Like, that happened. Like, so it's like, we're at that point to where it's like, our whole season, our success, our, like, everything we would rely on does not anymore fall on just winning the division. Yeah, it's an easier route to the playoff or into the Super Bowl for sure. That's the whole Booner path. But if you don't, I'm not like, oh my gosh, this season is such a wreck. Like, no, let's go win a Super Bowl. Who cares about the NFC North at that point? I want a Lombardi trophy. You don't get a trophy for the North. You get a Lombardi trophy for the Super Bowl. Who cares about that?
My only counter to that, Boone, is I think the Vikings will probably be like a 12, 13 win team, but I think the Lions will as well. But when you look at the Vikings' remaining schedule, the only teams on the remaining of their schedule that the Lions have not played or will not play is Atlanta Falcons. So there's going to be a ton of head-to-head matchups. Like, the Lions play the whole AFC South, they obviously play the NFC North, and they look at the Seattle Seahawks. That's the only team there. The Lions already played the Rams, so there would be a lot of head-to-heads. If these two teams are sitting near the same record, the Lions better win the head-to-head because they're the better team. So that's where it's like, if they're near the same record, the Lions better be that. Or in my opinion, it is a disappointment because down the line, you lost games that they shouldn't have, and the Vikings beat those teams.
I mean, I don't know. I disagree. I just don't think it's like as big of a deal. Like we won the North last
It's not
year.
like season's over, but
It's Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit up here and get on the stand on a show and be like, "This is the most disappointing thing ever." I really don't care. Let's talk about the wild card matchup and who we're about to just absolutely dismantle.
But you don't think it'd be a little bit disappointing? It's not.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you lose a conference or anything, like in like college basketball, if you lose the conference, the regular season championship by a game, you're not sitting there and be like, "Oh, that sucks. Now we can't go win in the tournament." Like you're like, "No, now we have the conference tournament and now we have the NCAA tournament. Like let's turn this thing around." Like, yeah, you want to win it, but like there's teams, literally, guys. Like there's these things in divisions every year, like the worst to first in the division. Like it happens every year. Like the division stuff doesn't matter to me. Like I think last year was so meaningful because you haven't won it in so long. Like that's it. And like obviously it means a lot too because you want the home playoff game. So that is like extremely meaningful. And like you want to be able to have the best path. But if like you don't, it's like for me, it's like it's not disappointing. What really matters and like what really will tempt the season and like be disappointing or not is what you do in the postseason. Like that's where it's at for me. Like, all right, we dropped the division. All right, now we have to go on the road. And like that doesn't make an excuse to not go make a run at the Super Bowl. Like figure that out. Now, if you went and lost the division and you lost in round 1 on the road, that's where my problem would be. It would be like, all right, now you messed around and didn't get a home game because you lost the division. Like if you're not going to win the division, you better be able to figure this thing out to win on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, Boone. You're kind of like, if it's really out of their control and they beat the Vikings twice and they somehow don't win the division off of that, then like I get what you're saying, but it is still disappointing. You had no like we all said, we all had the Vikings like 4th in this division going in.
Yeah.
Obviously they're playing above expectations, but either way, the Lions were supposed to win this division. So if they go out and they don't, and Boone, like you said, like if they go out and lose the wild card round, then you're going to be disappointed then, but like that shouldn't even have been in the equation. It doesn't matter how good the Vikings are doing. You're supposed to be better than them. You are the best team in football, in your words, Boone. You're the best team in this division. Go out and win the division. If you don't, it's a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, even in this comment, and what you're saying about the playoffs, like I understand that, but this is where it goes into my mind. Like what this comment is: only 5 teams ever won 3 straight road games in the playoffs. Yep. Like it won't be a disaster, but it definitely makes it harder to get there.
It'll be tough. I do think though, like guys,
that's where the disappointment comes in. It's like
the biggest.
You know,
for sure. I just think the biggest thing, to my point, to me, I'm not saying it. Like, what would be disappointing of it is if you do lose to the Vikings and they end up winning it and you don't control your own destiny. Like for me, it's more so just make sure you control your destiny. Like win those games, and if you beat the Vikings and maybe you drop a game or two and you're sitting there and maybe you lose a tiebreaker. I guess if you beat the Vikings twice, it wouldn't matter. But like if they take care of their business and it's all out of your control, and maybe you still beat them and you drop like a game or two here and there, then I'm just like, okay, let's move on and let's just go win the playoff games. But now, Klotz, to your point, if you do drop like 4 or 5 games, like if you drop 4 games and one of them's to the Vikings, then I'm like, okay, well, that's the problem. Like you still have to go take care of business.
Well, speaking of taking care of business, these 2 running backs have been taking care of business. And right now, Klotzy, your narrative is still alive. All right. Right now,
I don't know.
Jahmyr, and this is the graphic, peanut butter and jelly. Lions running back duo so far this season, 4 games. Similar amount of carry. Well, David has 14 more carries, I guess. So it is kind of significant. Yards, Jahmyr has more. Rushing TDs, he has 3 compared to Monty's 4. Yards per carry, he's a whole yard per carry better. Longest rush, he has the longest rush of 24 yards compared to Demon's 21. So it's not a super significant drop off. Are we? Remember, we all had this conversation about the running backs and where they would shape up at the end of the year. And so far, with 14 less carries, Jahmyr Gibbs, the savior. He is leading the team in rushing right now by 14 yards. But can he keep this up? What do we make of the expectations?
This conversation went in a completely different route than I thought.
Should look at total yards.
Is he? Well, total yards, yes. Demont has more receiving yards, not by a drastic amount, but he has less catches, more yards. So it just hasn't got the Lions haven't really gotten him going in the passing game, Jahmyr Gibbs. But I mean, okay, so where are we all at with who ends the year as the leading rusher? I'm just asking a question. You can answer it. Huh? How about that?
It is I think it's an interesting question.
I mean, I think Jahmyr Gibbs, we've kind of been consistent on this, at least me and Lucas. Jahmyr Gibbs will end with more rush yards, but Dave Montgomery will get the bulk of the TDs, I think, and in the red zone. And I still think it should be that way. I don't think they should split from the way they've been doing things. I think keeping them both involved and fresh has obviously worked to their advantage. So, I mean, I don't think for any reason there shouldn't be any switching up of what they've done this far. Yes, you may play one more than the other in some games, just like how we've kind of seen, like the one game Monty has less carries, less yards, Jahmyr Gibbs is popping off, and then vice versa. But switching off of David Montgomery or keeping the ball away from him and giving it to one or the other more than the other and not keeping it fresh is just not the way to go. I mean, David Montgomery controls the tempo. He bullies everyone. And then Jahmyr Gibbs just has those plays that rips your heart out. So you got to keep it fluctuant with how you've been doing it with these guys. You can't keep one or the other. You got to roll them both.
So who do you think leads the team in rushing at the end of the year?
Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs will lead in rushing, but Monty will have more touchdowns.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say than that. It's like, can he keep it up? Can David Montgomery keep it up? Absolutely. Like Jahmyr Gibbs, again, guys, he's in his second year. He's only going to get better. And as far as the receiving yards, that's going to bump up as well. I think what really helps Monty is that 40-yard catch against Witherspoon where he absolutely lowered him. And that's not taking anything away. It's just David Montgomery doesn't normally have those type of plays. That's not
sounds like it
throughout the season. Jahmyr Gibbs, those plays will be consistent throughout
Take
the
away
season.
one of Jahmyr Gibbs' 40 yards catches.
Oh, there will be some. Can guarantee.
That's why take one away since you're taking D-Monts away.
All right. Anyways, back to what I was saying originally. The thing with Jahmyr Gibbs compared to David Montgomery is you saw it last week. Like when David Montgomery has the open space between the tackles, David Montgomery's getting 10 to 12 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs is getting 20, and he's going to make a guy miss, and he's going to fall forward for 25. That's where the rushing difference is going to be. And as far as the volume in the receiving game, it would be ignorant of all of us to say that David Montgomery's going to have more receiving yards than Jahmyr Gibbs. Look yourself in the mirror if you think that's going to be the case. Go get some help, get the medication, take it, and the next Sunday, come back down to earth, and you'll see that David Montgomery is a beast on the ground. But Jahmyr Gibbs is a beast through the air. David Montgomery can be, but why would you start taking those away from Jahmyr Gibbs when that's the reason you fucking drafted him? So, can Jahmyr Gibbs keep this up? Absolutely. Can David Montgomery keep this up? Absolutely. Who will lead the team in rushing? Jahmyr Gibbs.
What about TDs, Klotz?
TDs, total or on the ground?
Total,
I'd probably go Jahmyr. I think he's going to get
this
3 or 4.
guy just loves Jahmyr Gibbs.
I do.
It's unbelievable. There's
dude, he's an unbelievable player.
He is, but
okay, so hold on. Let's back it up since I just love Jahmyr Gibbs and I can't stand it. Jahmyr Gibbs. Do you think that Jahmyr Gibbs will have 9 to 10 rushing touchdowns on the year?
Yeah.
Do you think that he'll probably have 3 to 4 through the air?
Possibly.
He already has, I think, 1 or 2 right now.
He has 4 total touchdowns right now.
He has 4 total touchdowns through 4 games. So let's multiply that by another 4 and add a game. He might not even have that. So let's say he's on pace for 15 to 16. I think Monty gets 12. Did I say that?
I mean, Monty, you're like
Gibbs.
You're like Jahmyr Gibbs is on pace for 15 or 16. Like Monty's on pace for 21 right now.
I agree. Like Monty on the ground. But I think that's going to change.
No, both. He has a receiving.
When you look at what happened with this offense last week, they got on the ground. Through this first 4 weeks, they've been struggling to find the rhythm and who they relied on. David Montgomery, not taking away from him, but I think the game script offensively through the first 4 games have been different from what we're going to see the rest of the regular season. Like this Lions offense has not looked in sync. When they get in sync, I think that opens up plays for other players. Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams have emerged, but even Amon-Ra St. Brown hasn't been Amon-Ra St. Brown yet. That takes the ball away from David Montgomery. And I think when you have Jahmyr Gibbs, more explosive plays, he can produce them. Not saying that David Montgomery can't, but who's going to give you more bang for your buck is Jahmyr Gibbs.
You want to go, Jeff? Go ahead, Jeff. I'll go after you.
Just Klotzy, let me talk to you for a second. All right. So
thank you. Hey, take this one from me.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a elite player. Dave Montgomery. He's an elite player. They're both very good. So I don't hate that you're going with Gibbs to have more total. I could see total. I actually don't really hate that take. Here's where I'm at with rushing. Okay. David Montgomery, I think when he first got to Detroit from Chicago, people looked at him more as like a power back, someone that you can pound the rock with, which is true. But one thing I've noticed with David Montgomery this season and last season is he's so much better than people give him credit for. Not that you're not, but my point being is, like, I think he can hang with Jahmyr Gibbs in terms of rushing yards. I think David Montgomery will lead this team in rushing yards. Like, I because of, number one, the volume, but number two, like, the longest rush of Jahmyr is 25, and it'll be bigger than that. Obviously, he'll get another breakoff run. But D-Mon had some last year. I think his biggest rush last year was like 70, if I'm not mistaken. So he can break loose as well. So I think rushing yards, I'm going to go with David Montgomery. But total yards, I'm still going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. In a little bit, we're actually going to bring up our yard totals that we predicted and see how they aged, because we're going to get to that, passing yards and receiving yards. But I'm going to go with D-Mon. I think D-Mon is, and we all agree, very good. Jahmyr, very good. But I think especially in the fourth quarter, and Mike hammers this all the time, we talk about it, just the value of having D-Mon. He's going to get a higher volume. And I think, what is he, almost 4.5 yards per carry? I think there's a lot of room there for him to go out and get, 1,000 yards this year, 900, 1,000 yards. They're both going to have around that number. I'll just give the edge to D-Mon because I think he's more, because he mentioned it now, like when they asked him about how, Jahmyr is kind of this shifty back. He's like, well, I'm shifty too. Like, I'm that guy too. And he's showing it this year with his running ability. So I'm going to go with D-Mon on that.
I do think too, like with this whole running back duo thing, like as they try and go through this, one thing I've seen through the first 4 weeks, because like through the first 4 weeks, like D-Mon total yards has more than Gibbs. So like I don't think, and Klotz, I get your point, like because I do think Gibbs is, I've said it before, a top 5 back in the league. But just splitting a backfield with a guy like David Montgomery, who's a top 10 back, and you have the offense that you have, it's hard to put that up. So like I like for you, like you're like, it's crazy to think that Jahmyr Gibbs like would be able to do that. Like I don't, like we're through 4 weeks already, and David Montgomery through 4 weeks has more total yards than Jahmyr Gibbs, and it doesn't feel like there's going to be any drastic change in touches. Like the touches are probably going to stay the same from week 4 to week 17 into the playoffs. Like I don't think either one of these guys it's going to be like woof, woof, like it's going to stay the same throughout the whole season. And through 4 weeks, he's already has more total yards. And like I think the thing with D-Mon too that Ben Johnson and this offense likes is that D-Mon gets this offense going. Like Gibbs has these plays to where he will break it off for 20 yards, 15, 10. But to be able to open those things up, like D-Mon has to go in there and he has to set the tone, and he has to go get those 5 or 6 yards, those 7 yards, and he just plays that bully ball. And at the same time, you've seen it multiple times already this year. He also now, compared to maybe as much as he did the last couple of years, he breaks these things off now, and he'll break off for 20 now. He'll break off for 40. He had the Chargers run last year. Like he does that as well. So when you add in being able to be like, hey, D-Mon's going to set the tone. He's going to be the guy that gets this offense going. We've seen D-Mon get 17, 20 carries a game. Like when he gets those games and you can't stop him, that's where I think the separation is. And I don't think it has anything to do with talent. Gibbs is a top 5 talent in the NFL. I think it's just more so like the production and how much they like what they put the load that they put on David Montgomery and what they want him to do. And he comes to the table every single time and produces. Every time. I think he leads in total. I think he ends up leading in the rushing yards, just like Jeff. And I think he ends up having more touchdowns than Gibbs as well, total. I think that D-Mon ends up being the one with the most statistical categories led, if you want to say that.
Well, you guys want to get any rebuttal, Luke? I mean, can you see where we're coming from?
But we're just going to talk in circles.
Okay. Right. All right. Let's get to our receiving yards, because we did this early mid-August, I think, where we predicted the receiving yards of every player. We're going to just check up on it. All right. We're going to give a little checkup. Anything you change, anything you don't like, anything you do like. We start with you, Boone. Is that okay? You're on. Okay, we're starting with you. So here's Booner's, and we'll go and kind of go through all of ours. But receiving yards predictions, you had Amon-Ra, 55, 1,550 yards. You had 10 TDs, Jameson, 875 and 7 TDs, Sam Laporte, 1,000 yards, 10 TDs, Khalif Raymond, 500 yards, 3 TDs. Obviously, this is before Tim Patrick, so we didn't know he'd be here. But anyway, that third receiver, basically 500 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 500 yards, receiving 4 TDs. Anything you change? Anything you're confident in still?
I mean, I think I would like if I had to switch some. Like the Amon-Ra one, I think it's still like, I don't know, 1,500 is a lot. He's only at 252, so like I think he's on track for like 1,200 right now, if I'm mistaken, or 1,150. I think Amon-Ra can take it a step up for sure. Like I think he ends up taking a step up. I think like the one that I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have done it is the JMO one. Because I had the conversations, and you remember early on, we had the conversations of JMO getting 1,000, and we were all so like reluctant to be like, we're all like stepping the edge. Like, should we do it? Should we put JMO at 1,000? And we all never ended up doing it. But I think like JMO, like right now, if I had to do it, JMO's going to get 1,000 yards. Like even if he has a couple down games, his big games, those 80-yard games, those 90-yard games, those make up for it quick, like so fast. And obviously Laporta, like I don't think Laporta ends up. The injury to start the year in training camp kind of put him back a little, and the slow start that he had, like, let me see, what is he at right now? He's at 147. He probably gets to 800, and he doesn't even have a touchdown yet. So like the 10 touchdowns, probably not. I bet you Laporta ends with like 806 touchdowns. The Leaf thing, I would right now, I don't know if I can do this. Cross Khalif Raymond's name off, scratch it off, right in Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Right in Tim Patrick.
EP. Oh.
He's already like, what is he at right now? He's already at 72 yards, and he's basically essentially played in 2 games. He had two games with catches. Give me Tim Patrick in that spot, 400 or 500 yards essentially. So that's kind of what I would do with it. It's weird because the offense started off so slow. So like none of this kind of makes sense. Like if the offense started off like it did last week, we would probably be on pace for a lot of these.
Yeah. I mean, Goff's total stats, you had 4,475 and 34 passing TDs. So we all had around the same numbers. So we'll get to everyone. So you kind of said what you'd change. Let's get to yours, Klotzy. Let's see anything you wouldn't. Hey, let's see anything if you want to change anything or anything you would adjust now that we're kind of 4 games into the season. Here's or for the Lions. Here's your receiving yards.
All right, hey. Amon-Ra, a little generous. I don't think 1,600 is going to happen if I had to go there. Probably 1,400. I definitely think 10 touchdowns is still in play for him, though. Amon-Ra easily can get 2 touchdowns for multiple games. And even with what? I'm trying to think. Do some quick mental math here, Klotzy. 13 games left. I think there's definitely a possibility that Amon-Ra gets 10 touchdowns. Now, flip it. Jamison Williams, I was not generous enough with. I think Jamison Williams, I think he's going to finish like 900 to 1,000. It could be a little over. It could be wrong. And I'm going to keep the 6 touchdowns and raise it to 7. So slightly off on him. Okay. Definitely off on Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta, I can see finishing this year with like 700 yards, probably like 5-6 touchdowns. He's yet to go in the end zone. But like multiple games last year, you saw where Sam Laporta is leaving with two touchdowns. I think against the Panthers, he might have even had more than that. But Sam Laporta is a guy that can make big plays quick in the red zone. So touchdowns, shit. I mean, like I just said, there's 13 games left in the regular season. I do think Sam Laporta is a caliber of player when fully healthy that he can get 8 touchdowns in 13 games. I just don't think it's likely. So I'm going to drop it down to 6. And then same thing with Booner. Erase Leaf, put in TP 17. And I think Tim Patrick is right on track to where that is. I'm going to keep it at 485 and 3 touchdowns, especially in the red zone. I think when we talk about Khalif Raymond's kind of like those big plays, but Tim Patrick, I don't think he's going to have any explosive big yardage touchdowns, but in the red zone, especially later in the season, that wrinkle that you're going to forget about if you're the other team's defense is Tim Patrick. When you throw him the ball, he's going to catch. And finally, Jahmyr Gibbs down at the bottom, 515 yards. I'm still believing in that. Touchdown, we just talked about it. I'll keep it at 5. And then Jared Goff, numbers at the bottom, kind of hard to generate it right now, but how he's looking, I'll keep those as well. I think he's definitely capable of 4,400 yards and 32 touchdowns.
Love it. Well, we're all going to be in a similar boat here. Let me see how bad mine is. All right. I think mine's kind of similar here. When we talk about big picture, we all kind of had similar views on the players. I mean, you look at mine. Amon-Ra 1,575. He's not getting that. Jamison, he's getting more than that. I would probably knock probably 200 yards off here, give it to JMO, and then I would knock 200 off Laporta and just blow it away like Pixie does. Because I don't know about this offense. I have Goff at 44, 45. At 32 TDs. He's not getting 32 TDs on this pace. Like, he would have to absolutely just ball out the rest of the season. I don't think he will. I think he gets 28, 29 TDs. I think he's going to be short of that. Passing yards, I guess he could get that. But I'm definitely giving J-Mo. I think they're going to have 2,000-yard receivers, and Sam Laporta will be at about 800. So that's where I'm at with it. And then Tim Patrick, like you said, Boone, just throw him with 500. I mean, just give that man 400 or 500. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I'd probably knock his a little down because they're using more. They're using different personnel now with Tim Patrick. They're getting him involved. You know, it's a. So I would probably knock a little off Gibbs. Maybe he gets like 400 or something like that. So it's not too bad looking at this. Like, holy crap, dude. I mean, Sam Laporta's not getting 1,000 yards. I mean, that's just the facts here. So. I mean, we're all kind of in agreement here. But when we did it, hey, we were confident in the man, and he's just been a little banged up. All right? Just been a little banged up. That's just the reality of it all. But good stuff, guys. We'll revisit that. We'll probably do more adjustments later in the season, but we'll get to this or that because that I'm excited for it. And we got some hypotheticals for you guys. For those who don't know, we do this or that every other week. Basically, we give 2 scenarios, this or that, regarding the Detroit Lions, and you guys and us answer the question. This or that.
You can give it.
Boone?
So,
who do we got for
you guys want me to do this? Got it.
Cue up some tunes, Hefe.
What'd you say?
Cue up some tunes, Hefe.
All right, let me get that. Oh, wait, were you here? Oh, yeah, you heard. Okay. I'll say you didn't hear the new beat. Yep. I like that. Hold on. All right, let me turn this up a little bit.
All right. We ready?
Ready, Boone.
All right. First one. This or that? Oh, this is an interesting one. And we can change this up, too. People think we should change this up, and it might be unrealistic. We can do it. We can do the most realistic one. But Detroit Lions safety Kirby Joseph to be an all-pro safety this year. Or wide receiver Jameson Williams to be an all-pro wide receiver. Or Pro Bowl. So, wide receiver. All-pro for Kirby or Pro Bowl for J-Mo. This or that. Which one are you guys taking?
Ooh, so Pro Bowl J-Mo, All-Pro Brian Branch.
No, Kirby.
Oh, Kirby.
Come on.
No, I'm. That's a good one. Look, trying to think of like safety play off the top of my head. Like, you know,
Xavier
big time.
McKinney with the Packers has 4 interceptions. Jesse
That's
Bates
about-
has a really good season.
Who?
Kyle Hamilton. Jesse Bates, Kyle Hamilton. Javon Holland's having a nice season. Tyrann Matthews having a nice season.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kirby. I think Kirby will be all-pro. He'll make the second team all-pro because J-Mo, the reason why there's so many good receivers. I just think you have Nico Collins leading the team, leading the league in yards, and you have guys, big names that are still playing very well. So I'm gonna go with Kirby Joseph. I'm that confident in him making all-pro, at least first team or second team. So I'm gonna go with Kirby on that one.
Yeah, I'm going Kirby too. I think just by default, just when you look at the wide receivers around the NFC, like even the NFC North, like you have Amon-Ra on his own team, I think would make it above J-Mo. You have Jaden Reed with the Packers, who is on a tear right now, and I think he's going to just continue because he gets the volume where he needs to. And then you have Justin Jefferson. Those 3 right there. Then you look over in the NFC East right now. You have CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They're both banged up, but they're coming back. Even Terry McLaurin's on pace to have the best year. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed just caught another bomb for a touchdown. That's pretty much what Jameson Williams does. So I'm not saying Shaheed's better or worse. I'm just saying simply the facts there. I don't see a way that Jameson Williams has a path to be a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Doesn't mean he's not good, but Kirby Joseph's off to a phenomenal start production-wise. He's going to be one of the core reasons this defense is good, and I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to this defense and recognize that the secondary is a weakness, but it is not because of Kirby Joseph, because look at his numbers and look how he's playing. So Kirby, I think, has more of a chance to get all-pro.
Do you guys remember last season who got snubbed from a Pro Bowl after having 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns? Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it is tough at the receiver position. A guy literally who had 1,500 yards, Amon-Ra St. Brown on our own team didn't get in. So I would have to go Kirby Joseph as well. I hate to go all across the board. It's just like the wide receiver, like it's tough. And it might be, maybe it's a little down this year. I don't know. But I do think Kirby, and what's crazy too is if Brian Branch has only missed 1 game, he could come back and be a Pro Bowler too. And I wouldn't be shocked. So, like, you could have I don't know what the chances are of that happening, having 2 Pro Bowl safeties. But if Brian Branch is playing at the high level that he plays at, he's probably considered a Pro Bowler or an all-pro player. And then you go there and you go, if Kirby Joseph continues getting the takeaways that he does, you have to consider him as well. So you could potentially have 2 safeties on your football team that are all pro. I would have to go Kirby on this one, though. And it's not to J-Mo. I still think J-Mo has over 1,000 yards and dominates. Like, I'm still all in on him doing that. I just think it's a little tough for him to do that with the wide receivers around the NFL, especially if Amon-Ra got snubbed last year. Like, that's tough. All right. Next one.
Actually, that's a good point, Boone. I didn't even think about the Amon-Ra snub.
1,500 yards, and that's crazy. Next one, though. This is kind of a team one here, fellas. This is for the Detroit Lions. This or that. The Detroit Lions go 2-0 versus the Minnesota Vikings, or going 2-0 versus the Green Bay Packers. This or that. Which one are you picking? This is a good one. This is interesting.
Happy, you want to start, or you want me to go?
Screw it. Let me go. I'm going to go with the Vikings. 2-0 against the Vikings. I just think the quarterback play, man. I think Jordan Love can hang in this game single-handed, like by himself. Like, I think their defense is pretty good, but I respect Jordan Love that much. I don't know. And maybe it's me trying to figure out if this is real or not with the Vikings. But I think Matt LaFleur is a really good coach. I think Kevin O'Connell is a better coach. But I'm going to lean the better quarterback, and they're still a good team, the Packers. So I'm going to go Packers. Or, excuse me, Vikings. Better chance of sweeping them. But, yeah.
So, just to make sure, the question is, who are the Lions more likely to sweep?
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Packers. And I think it's for one reason and one reason only. Justin Jefferson. Like, I think defensively, the Vikings are much better than the Packers. To your point, Jeff, the quarterback is better. But I think when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, you have TJ Hawkinson coming back, and their offensive line is better. I just like the Vikings. I think their team chemistry is there. I think when you look between it, who's playing right now better? The Minnesota Vikings. When do the Detroit Lions play the Minnesota Vikings? When they're coming off a bye. So when you look at that, let alone, I think by default, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers are easier to sweep.
So, well, let's bring in Mike. We'll ask Mike just to get another answer here. Mike, we'll ask you, better chance of getting swept, the Lions sweeping this team, Packers or Vikings? What are you more confident if they have to sweep one team? What would you choose?
I'd probably just say the Vikings because Jared Goff's playing indoors both games. I think
that's a bar. Okay.
I think obviously the Packers are going into Green Bay. Obviously Jordan Love will probably be healthy and probably more back to his original self at that point in time. And I think the Lions just match up better against the Vikings. And like I said, I don't expect the Vikings defense to be this good throughout the end of the year. And I guess you could say the same about Sam Darnold. So I'll take the Vikings.
I think I'm with Unc. I don't even think it's just with the indoors. I do think it's eventually, again, I think like this Vikings team is very beatable. We saw the Jets probably should have beat them. The Packers, the 2-point game. I'm more scared of a quarterback like Jordan Love than Sam Darnold. And then if you're like, say in 2 weeks you play the Vikings and they're without an Aaron Jones, or Aaron Jones is still beat up, or Darnold's beat up, I have more faith in winning that game. Like we've been able to beat the Vikings with Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Like that's not the problem. You know what I mean? Like they can go get 150. We've seen them give up 200 receiving yards to one of those guys, and the Lions still win the game. So I'm not worried about that. I'm just more worried about Jordan Love cutting the Lions up a little bit. So if I had to like put my life on it, I probably would go the Vikings. Even though they're 5-0, I just think that like when they play a good team, they typically are keeping it close and one possession outside that Texans game. So I would take the Vikings, and they're indoors. That's just a plus. That is a plus. All right, let's do another team one. This or that. The Detroit Lions to either finish top 3 in total offense. So the Detroit Lions offense is top 3 in the NFL, or the Detroit Lions defense finishes in the top 10. This or that. What are you guys going with?
I'm going to go with the offense because I know what this run game is. It's not anything new. It's elite. They're like top 5 in rushing, and I think this passing offense will continue to improve. The defense, like at this point, I think they're fine. You're basically going with the unknown. Like it's based on projection. It's like, yeah, they're going to be here. I know the offense has been here. the last 2 years, at least in the conversation. So I'm gonna go with the Lions. Top 3 is tough, but what am I more confident in? If I had to like pick, I'm going offense.
I mean, it's crazy to think, but the Lions right now, yards per game wise, are already top 3. So I think that within itself seals it. They found themselves last week, so I don't have to explain much on this. It's the Detroit Lions on offense being top 3.
Yeah, no, I'm going with the offense too. I mean, I said to begin the season, I don't even think the defense will be top 12 or top 10 to begin with. I think that I said they would be right outside of it. And to Jeff's or Lucas's point, they're already top 3 in yards as it is. And I think they're just going to keep getting better. Obviously, those first couple games, we saw a little struggles with Jared Goff, and really just the offense in general didn't look like they were meshing too well. But now you've seen they're kind of getting back to last year. So I'm going to go with the offense here.
This is tough. I'm just gonna. No, I can't do that. I'm gonna say the offense because I think, to Klotz's point, they already are top 3. I think. Well, they're both top. I mean, Lions on defense is top 10 scoring defense. So I guess it depends on how we're gonna look at it. If we're gonna look at scoring or yardages, but top 3 offense. I think this offense is about to get things going, boys. We saw what they did. They're definitely going to get things going here. So I'm going to go offense.
Yeah, I like it. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. All right, what's the next one?
All right, next one. Detroit Lions defensive edge. Levi Onwuzurike to end the season. I switched it up a little. I did to end the season with 5 sacks, or Kirby Joseph to end the season. Let's go with 6 interceptions. Should we do 6 or should we do more?
I'd say I think 5 and 5 is fair.
Let's do 5 and let's do 5 and 6.
Pick whatever number you want to pick.
Yeah, because he's already at 3. He's already at 3. 2 more.
I don't give rat's ass what you pick. You can go with whatever. Kirby's ending the year with more picks than whatever Levi does, and that's no disrespect. I think Levi will get a very fine, a very admirable, a very respectable 3 to 4 sacks. 5 sacks. But I think Kirby's on a pace to get like 6-7 picks. So I'm going to go with Kirby. No doubt, no matter what number you use. Unless you're talking double-digit sacks, then we can have a conversation. But I think Kirby's going to get more interceptions than Levi sacks, for sure.
Yeah, give me Kirby with the sweep. He's already off the hot start. I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree too. I think Levi will still keep contributing, but Kirby's just been unreal so far. He's got to pick in like 3 out of the 4 games. For him to get 3 more throughout the rest of the year, I just think is bound to happen. And I still think Levi will still do good. And he may creep to that number right below it or whatnot. But Kirby's for sure, I think, going to get 6 picks no matter what.
Let's do the next one here. I mean, it's just a sweep across the board. That was a bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all bad, to be honest. If I'm being honest, Terrion Arnold and Carlton Davis. Who gets more interceptions, boys? This or that?
I
think we've swept every single one here. I'm not gonna lie, boys. As I'm thinking it back, I'm like, I think
no. Vikings, Packers. No, Lucas disagreed with that one. We had one more. I don't know which one it was, but I think I said something different.
Kirby. Maybe. I don't know.
Whatever. So this one, what was this? What will lead? Who will have more interceptions? Carlton Davis or Terrion Arnold? Carlton Davis isn't really like a big. He has his hands on the football, but he's never been a guy to get a bunch of interceptions. I think Terrion has more upside there, and I think he's going to get targeted more because of the PIs, and he's a rookie. So I'm going to go with TA because I think he's going to get more opportunities. He just can't be as physical. But I think they'll come. I think he'll end the season with like 2 or 3, and Carlton will have like 1 less or 2 less, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go with Terrion on this because I think the volume will be there. He'll get targeted more.
I'm going to go with Carlton for the plain fact. I get what you're saying, Jeff. I just think 1, he has more ball skills, and 2, he's going to be covering more wide receiver 1. So when you look to that man-to-man, I think that quarterbacks know that Carlton Davis, he gives up plays too. He gives up penalties too. And they're going to keep going after their favorite wide receiver. As far as the quarterbacks, obviously, for a situation like DK Metcalf, Carlton Davis was still having success, but Geno Smith was still feeding DK Metcalf. And I think he's just going to be in more situations and ability to make a play on it than Terrion Arnold. So give me Carlton Davis. I think he'll finish the season with like 3 or 4 picks.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Carlton too, but I don't think it's going to be by like a drastic number. I think Carlton maybe at 3, Terrion gets up to like 2 or something. But I mean, you've seen last game, Carlton had a few chances to get one. And like Lukas said, he's going to be covering a lot of wide receiver ones. And most quarterbacks still are going to feed their wide receiver one no matter of the matchup. Obviously, Jeff, I do like your point that you said about Terrion having the wide receiver too, and they might attack him a little bit more. So he might get the more opportunities. But at this point in time, Carlton Davis is the more skilled corner, and he has looked better thus far. And I just think Carlton's bound to get one. I was about to say it earlier. I think he gets one this week. So I'm going to go Carlton Davis.
Hey, I'll just give me Terrion Arnold. Why not? Give me the rook.
Right.
I want the rook. Give me the rook. I don't know. I don't even think it's going to be 3-2, Unc. I think it's going to end up being like 2-1. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I don't think these corners are like they've had opportunities already and really haven't gotten takeaways. It's really going to come from our safeties. I'm going to say Terrion gets at least 2 this year. He's been close a couple times, and so is Carlton. But I just think like once Terrion gets this thing down and he starts getting in the right positions and I think he's going to end up getting himself a couple. And I think Carlton's just Carlton Davis. Like he can play at a high level and probably have 1 or 2, if that. Like I think in his career, let me see real quick. I think he had like last year, he had 2 last year, 1 the year before, 1 the year before, and then he had in 2020 had 4 and then 1 and 0. So like it's not he had the one off there with 4 back in 2020, but besides that, he really hasn't had a bunch. So I'm gonna go Terrion. I think Terrion gets 2 this year. I don't know when they're gonna come. They might be like garbage time ones. He's gonna get them though.
That's fair. I think TA, man, that dude's gonna continue to get picked on. So I mean, he'll have the opportunities. You can't have these PIs. So that's where I'm at with the fellas. Yeah, you just can't have these PIs. By the way, update: Chris Olave's in a blanket. Just thought I'd tell you guys that. I know I bet on him, so he's in an absolute blanket. This
whole year. And I don't know if you guys have watched it all, but I don't know why every time Derek Carr throws a deep ball down the field, he tries to hit the fucking moon, bro. Like he acts like that thing can just hang it. Like that's the most inefficient way to throw a deep ball. Like you have Rashid Shaheed, put it on a fucking rope so the dude can just keep on moving. When you do that, all the DBs are catching up with it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, they're hanging in there. But hey, fellas, speaking around the NFL, we had some stuff transpire over the weekend, huh? Hey, Josh Allen, arguably the worst NFL game for a quarterback in a couple of years.
I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, 9 for 30.
I mean, what are we doing here?
9 for 30 is quite a stat. I mean, that
dude, he was terrible. He was terrible.
Like,
did you see that?
Ass.
He was like concussed. Did you guys see that?
He got knocked out. He literally got knocked out. He was blacked out.
Why did they put him back in the game?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, that was still towards the end. He was already having a brutal game. But after that point, you should have just called it quits because he was playing like shit before that. And then he damn near died out there. And I don't get it. I don't get how he was actually cleared to play. Like he was clearly knocked out, laying flat on his face in the ground. And they're just like, you know what? Fuck it. You're doing terrible anyways. No one will notice.
Did you
said you won't ball, right? Just committed to the game. That's all.
Did you see the dap with Stephon after? Like it's awkward as hell. Yeah, that's so awkward.
Yeah, people love to make stuff of it. Not a big deal.
I bet Stephon just grinning.
Bill, the fact that
watching them struggle to get anything going down the field.
One game, like I mean, it's not like they've had good games. If they struggled that bad, and they almost won and they needed a 60-yard field goal to win the game. Yeah. Stephon should be over there figuring something out. He should be concerned about his own football team over there. If they have to have if as bad as you guys are saying Josh Allen played, which he did play bad, but for them to still only win the game by a 60-yard touchdown or 60-yard field goal, like this Bills team's going to be good.
And don't let Fairbairn get hot. Man's like Ray Allen from deep.
I will say Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's clock management in that fourth quarter was absolutely fucking horrible. And that's why he's going to get cooked by the end of this year. But Boone, I'm going to come out and say it. The Bills still haven't beat a good team this year.
You could switch the narrative and keep,
They're going to win the division.
They have the toughest, let's not do this. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL. They literally have the toughest schedule in the entire NFL for the season.
Right hand up. The Jets suck. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Jets blow. I mean, okay, and then you have Tyler Huntley in the Dolphins, and then you have good old Jacoby Brissett in the Patriots. Like, they're going to win the division. It's just they yeah, I was shocked too. Like, they were in that game, and Josh was like single-handedly keeping them out of that game. Like, he was bad.
He had a tough game. Everyone does. Everyone
he had a terrible game. Which, yeah, I mean, which is weird. I mean, yeah, we were just hyping. We were talking high on him the other day, and he just had it was whether it was concussion or not. It was probably the worst game I've ever seen of Josh Allen.
I mean, to Josh Allen's credit, though, there was legitimately a pass where it was an RPO, and Keon Coleman staring dead into the defensive back's face mask, and the ball hits him on the side of the fucking helmet. It's like Josh Allen was cooking with Dalton Kincaid and a bunch of table scraps. Like, he had nothing going for him.
I mean, look at this real quick.
Dalton
like
Kincaid
Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, 1 catch, 5 targets. Kincaid, 2 catches, 6 targets. Matt Collins, 2 catches, 6 targets. James Cook, 2 for 3. Ray Davis, 1 for 2. MVS, 0 for 3. Like, MVS drops everything. MVS, 0 for 3. Curtis Samuel, 1 for 4. So it's like, how much are we going to put on Josh? Or we be like, and they have no Khalil Shakir either. Shakir was out as well. His number 1 target was out for the game, or he wasn't. He didn't play on Sunday. So I don't know. I just think like they have a gauntlet of a schedule like that. Like, we knew. I told you guys when they were 3-0. I was like, just watch the next couple weeks. Like, let's not overreact if they lose the next 2 games. And you guys were like, okay, Booner, I won't. And now you guys, here we are having this conversation.
No, like, it's not. You can't disregard the game he had. Like, he did not play well.
Struggled for sure.
That is all defense. I'm saying. You know, like, they're going to win the division. But that is, yeah.
And then I think they play Monday Night Football with the Jets next Monday, which they should win. And then they have the Titans win, Seahawks win, Dolphins win, Colts win, and then Chiefs 49ers.
You can't just pronounce all those wins right now.
Just did.
I just did. Yeah, I mean, I thought that. I mean, I watched the game.
Like this, dude. Like,
how you get, like,
can you guys stick up for this at all? Does anyone want to say anything? Can we end this? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, a tour should never be allowed to be in our chat again.
No,
for these ridiculous.
Most things. Overrated quarterback in the NFL is stated by NFL players, non-player Booner. This dude shits golden interceptions and has never lost a game. They couldn't.
But like, what do we? Obviously he's not the most overrated quarterback. You guys yourself said that he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. Everyone said that.
He is
by a mile. There's gaps. It's Mahomes' gap. Josh, you literally said it. You can't say that.
He is.
And then after a bad game, be like, there's no gap. No, you guys literally agreed that there was a gap between those two.
Yeah. To start the season,
absolutely. To start the season, yeah. You're absolutely.
Okay. I mean, one bad game doesn't put the guy out of it. Joe Burrow had a lot of bad games.
He actually hasn't this year.
I'm talking about in his career. I'm sorry.
Well,
Joe Burrow played out of his mind this week. Like,
yeah.
And I heard, I was on watching First Take today. Shannon Sharp.
He hates Joe Burrow.
But the thing with this man to go out on air and say that it's Joe Burrow's fault completely that they lost that game because he threw that interception on that last drive was ridiculous. Like, yeah, it's bad. Like, you shouldn't like make that. Yeah, it's his fault they got the ball back to go down. But they would never, if you were watching that game, I watched the whole game, they would never even have been close in that game if Joe Burrow was like, Joe Burrow was literally the only reason that they had the lead and they had a chance to even win the game. That man threw for like 380 yards and 5 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance. Unbelievable.
The thing that just kills me is like they'll talk about that, but if the Ravens lost, no one would talk about Lamar just absolutely dropping that snap.
No.
Like, it would be
right.
Like, and the thing that, especially when we talk about the Lions and Ravens, like people after the Ravens beat the Bills when they're like, oh, the Ravens would curb stomp the Lions. Like, no, they would not. Like, if you can hold Derrick Henry in check, Lamar Jackson is not a guy that can consistently make NFL throws against good defenses. Like, he makes crazy acrobatic plays, but that doesn't win you like huge games. If you have a guy or a defense that can hold Derrick Henry under 60 yards, like, I love the Lions winning that game. Because if you look at that Baltimore Ravens secondary, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
Marlon Humphrey got abused. Nate Wiggins got abused. Their safety room outside of Kyle Hamilton is mid. Like, it's not the same Baltimore Ravens defense, and it's not the same offense either. Like, they look good they look good one week, they look bad the other week. They just don't know their identity. Like, Lamar just, like, he had a great game. Don't get me wrong, but that's not something you can expect to repeat and win like that to win a Super Bowl.
They took the ball out of Burrow's hands late. You see them run 3 times and just basically just wave the flag. Like, that's ridiculous. After Joe Burrow's picking them apart all game. Like, that's malfeasance. That's what that is.
The Ravens were, like, obviously they came out on top of that game, but not giving Derrick Henry the ball more was like, if he didn't come down to make that clutch play at the end, obviously, I think that would have been the reason why they lost the game. Not giving it to him, he only had like 10 carries up until that point for like 30 yards.
But that run fed generations.
The dude's had like 100+ yards like every goddamn game, and you're playing the Bengals. Give the man the fucking ball. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, we all cashed on that run. I was actually at my girl's house, and we're watching. I'm with her dad, and we're just watching the TV, and I'm telling him this is the situation. And then after the fumbled snap, I'm like, you guys know how I am. I'm like, why do I do this? Like, I don't know.
I'm telling you, boys. I said they're saving Derek for OT.
And then
saving for OT?
Yep. And then you texted, you said, big run in color. You're like, he's coming alive soon. And then I'm like, hold on. And then they get and then they miss the field goal.
McPherson.
In McPherson, he's money pretty much all the time from that distance. Like, I was telling her dad, I'm like, hey, he's money. Like, I think this is over. And then he missed it. And I was just like, like LeBron, Cleveland, this is for you speech. I was yelling. And then after that, Derrick Henry ran for 40 yards, 50 yards, whatever. Thank God. Thank gosh.
I needed that shit.
That was a sweat. I hate that.
Rent was due, literally. I needed that one. I needed that.
Hey, speaking of Joe Burrow picking a defense apart, I mean, I get it's the Panthers, but hey, Caleb picking that defense.
We don't even
Come
need
on.
Go ahead.
Hey,
this should be the last game you ever take a victory lap for.
It's
The
not a victory lap.
Panthers. The Panthers.
Oh, who been playing well with Andy Dalton?
It's Andy Dalton. He's the worst. I don't care how well he plays. What are we doing?
Okay. So if Jane Daniels torches a bad team, we give him love.
Oh, let's not. Oh, don't go there. Do not go. Jaden Daniels has torched 4 different teams now.
No, I'm just stating if he does it against a team that's not that good, well, and he's been playing well. I wouldn't even bring that up. I wouldn't even dare to mention that.
Let's not put Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams in the same category.
Oh,
There's a difference. There is a difference. Jaden Daniels is 100 times better right now.
Okay, that's aggressive. 100 times.
That's a fact.
He's playing. He's the best rookie quarterback right now. He definitely is, the way he's playing. But my point being, right, like, he can go, I don't know, rip up the Giants and everyone's got his balls in their mouth. But if Caleb Williams does it against the Panthers, oh no, 300 yards and 2 TDs and no turnovers. How dare you all? Get out of here, man. Come on.
Dude, are you really, do you really want to do this?
Do what? I'm stating, I already said what I said. Jane Daniels is the best rookie quarterback right now. Okay, he is. But let's give Caleb some credit here for playing well. Okay?
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll give him a nice participation medal.
Caleb dude, are you denying that he played? Dude, 300 yards, 2 TDs.
Man's got a 36.3 QBR, dude. Jaden Daniels has a 73 QBR.
Go Google real quick.
73
real quick. Read off more stats. No.
Dude, I'm taking Jaden Daniels every day over Caleb Williams.
Read them all off.
Every day.
I saw your eyes. You were Googling something. Read them all off.
That's bad.
And I'll tell you what. If you check game by game.
Oh, game by game. He's improving. He's getting better. You're doing such a good job, buddy. You're getting so good, son.
Just because a rookie quarterback doesn't come out and absolutely light up the league, which Jay Daniels has done, does not mean everyone else is just bad.
I never said he was bad. Give me, Daniels is just that much better.
100 times?
I'll take it.
Oh yeah, I'll take it.
I didn't stutter at all. Did not.
You
stutter.
Sure about that?
I did not stutter.
100 times better.
Now that's why I know right now. You know you're losing and you're deflecting because you're trying to make fun of a stutter that's not there.
No, you seemed nervous when you said it.
I did not seem nervous.
Certain. You didn't seem certain. Are you certain he's 100 times?
Pretty confident. Are you sure about that? You're sure about that, pal?
I think he's 100 times. I think he's 100 times.
Look at
better.
you over there. I never said that.
You didn't sound confident. You didn't sound confident.
Oh
Stand up.
gosh,
You know what? 100 times
This
aggressive,
guy.
but I think Caleb's improving. And honestly, I wish the Lions would have played the Bears early.
All right, let's look at this real quick. Let's just look at this real quick. Hey, Klotz, you want to hear something? Week 1 versus the Tennessee Titans, 14 for 29, 93 yards, 0 touchdowns.
Best secondary in the
93
NFL.
yards. Week 2,
Shut up with
Houston.
that.
Best
Week
passing
2.
defense by the
Hey,
numbers.
Hold on a second. Week 2,
Best
Houston,
passing defense by the numbers.
174 yards. Oh my gosh. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That man, what a game. Oh, wait, hold on. Good game here, Jeff. Good game.
Yeah,
Colts,
you
week
can't
3,
stat walk like that.
363, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's interesting. Back-to-back weeks with 2 interceptions. Week 4, Rams, a whopping 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And then week 5 versus the worst team in all of sports outside of the Detroit Pistons, the worst franchise in all of sports, the worst roster in all of sports, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. What a game. Wow, what a game versus the worst team in all of sports. We're the worst team in all of sports.
It's funny. You're arguing something different. You're grabbing at straws. I do respect it.
Oh,
But
sorry. I
here's-
forgot the 100 rushing yards, too.
No. Here's the thing.
Sorry.
And I already made
Jaden
this
Daniels
very
has
clear.
triple that. Sorry. Jaden Daniels has 300. Sorry
I'll just
about
let
that.
him finish. Let him just.
My bad. No. I wanted to add in. Jeff, I'm respecting you. I left out his 100 rushing yards on the season. I did want to add in caveat. Jaden Daniels has 304 rushing touchdowns. Okay.
Okay. So my point is, he's improving, right? I didn't say week 1 he torched the Titans. Did I say that? I did not say that. So if you want to go 14 of 29 against you can do that all day. Okay. He played bad. We get that. My point is, big picture, he's improving. He's a good quarterback. He's getting better. Jaden Daniels he's been, and by the way, I'm just stating this, and you would even agree. Cliff Kingsbury, very good OC. Jaden Daniels, very good quarterback. He has I'm just stating they've done a great job. Their connection.
You were in love with what's his name over there in Chicago.
Until I watched.
You stood on business with that. You were like, I want Shane Waldron. I can't believe he's such a good OC. One of the best pickups in the entire NFL.
You see Cliff Kingsbury with
Shane Waldron.
You see Cliff Kingsbury with Kyler Murray. They were undefeated, then they fell off because Kyler Murray can't stay healthy. But Cliff Kingsbury is a good OC, good play caller.
Real quick, Jeff.
My point is, you can have. My biggest concern with Jaden Daniels is simply just staying healthy. I think he's a very good quarterback. But here's the thing: long term, who's going to be the better player? Still going to be Caleb Williams.
Jaden Daniels. If you had to start a franchise tomorrow, I bet you we should put a poll in the chat. If you're starting a franchise tomorrow, are you taking Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams? And Jeff, as the words of the legendary John the Doc Macaroon, I win, you lose. Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams.
Let's see. This comment. Jeff, you got to give Shane Waldron credit for that last game as well then. Yeah, I will give him credit. After the players stormed into Shane Waldron's office and said, dude, figure it out. This offense stinks. That's what they did. And then he made some adjustments, and they actually, you know what? He played well. Offenses look better. They're committed to the run.
And dude, if you want to start going back and forth with stuff like that, Jeff, why don't we talk give Jaden Daniels, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome with Doom.
Okay, Keenan Allen is listen.
I don't care. You still have that's a vet. Give that receiving core in Washington. I love Terry McLaurin, but give them that. The only guy he has over there that's that type of level is Terry McLaurin, and that's it.
You sleeping on Diami Brown?
No, guys are good. I'm not saying I'm not saying the guys are bad, but I'm saying to that level of a Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Dunze type player, that's Terry McLaurin. He's 3 of those guys. He should be able to throw for 300 yards. I could throw for 150 yards with those 3 guys.
Yeah, again, I want to make this very clear. You're arguing something different. I'm arguing they're both good quarterbacks. You obviously think one is far better than the other. I think they're both good. And I think Jaden Daniels is he is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But Who is Caleb Williams over the last 2 weeks? He's played better. I get the competition. I understand that. But this, I'm addressing he's a bust. First 2 weeks, this guy stinks. He's playing better. Like long term, going to be very good. So that's where I'm at with it. You can have your 100 times better than Caleb Williams take. I think they're both good quarterbacks. But where are you guys at, Gentry? And before we move on to Michigan, because you guys are on the stand for that. But how bad is it? How bad is it? Be honest with me. How bad is it? 100 times? How 100 times better than Caleb?
He's not 100 times better than Caleb Williams.
Obviously,
he's better than Caleb Williams by a good stretch, I would say.
Yeah,
it's a good stretch. Okay.
It's an objective statement. There's no way you can deny that Jaden Daniels has been the better quarterback through the first stretch of the season. Now, Caleb Williams has gotten much better, and I think he will close that gap. But at the same time, I don't see Jaden Daniels slowing down whatsoever. So rookie season, I'm going to give it to Jaden, absolutely. But career-wise, I'm still going to stick with Caleb just because what I think, like this year, hold on, Boone, talent level. Like, I think Jaden Daniels is extremely talented. Caleb Williams is extremely talented. I'd probably give a slight edge to Caleb just because of his frame. I just think he's more durable. That's the only reason. Now, you look at tough rookie seasons. I think I heard Peyton Manning talk about it over the weekend. Peyton Manning said the most valuable thing that I could have ever done was go 2-14 as a rookie quarterback and lead the league in interceptions and still hold the record for the most interceptions thrown as a rookie. So when you look at that, I do think that this season that Caleb's having right now, Eberflus is going to be gone. Waldron will be gone. That good defense will still be there. DJ Moore will still be there. And I think they're going to draft more talent to protect him more. So career-wise, I like Caleb Williams, but it's an objective statement that Jaden Daniels is better right now. You can't deny it.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. He's better right now. Long term, I think it's gonna be Caleb Williams.
You see the poll?
I don't look for the approval of the chat.
No, it's not the approval. This is just like, what do the people like? What does the public think? It's like embedded.
Yeah,
like,
well, the public. No one in the public's gonna right now objectively, like Lukas said, it's Jaden Daniels. Like right.
No,
now.
I put in there. If you had to take a quarterback for your franchise quarterback for a career tomorrow, would you rather have Caleb Williams as your franchise quarterback or Jaden Daniels for the next 10, 15 years? Who are you taking? Who are you guys all taking?
Well, people tend to lean with what they've seen, right? I've seen Jaden Daniels play well. I'll just take him to be my friend. No, like let's think about this. Like, Lukas, I think you put it very well long term. I'm going to go with Caleb still, but that's fine. You know what? You can have the people on this one.
Klotz, I'm guessing you're going Caleb as well.
And one plays for the Bears, so let's keep it a stack right now. I mean,
Gentry,
they're not going to choose a guy playing for the Bears, but
I've been consistent with Jaden Daniels, so I'll stay him.
All right, and let's see what the chat says.
I think it'll be like Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
I don't blame him.
That'll be like the Burrow and Allen, like in the future. And I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be the quarterback that people are going to try to draft every year. But I just don't think there's many Caleb Williams. Like Jaden Daniels is what quarterbacks are going to start to look like in the NFL. Like the desired ones. Like when I think you look at Cam Ward, look at Shedeur Sanders, I think they've favored a lot of what Jaden does, but they're not as athletic. Like you start seeing this kind of wave of quarterbacks that are coming through that can run, and they're also pocket passers. And that's what Jaden is. But Jaden, like his legs are way better than those guys, but he's going to be the prototype that people want.
I mean, speaking of good quarterback play, how about Michigan, huh? Jack Tuttle?
Let's have the conversation, all right?
Hey, Jack, I didn't even know that. I watched the box score, and then I saw that Jack Tuttle was in. I was like, I have to watch the highlight.
Tuttle. That's Tut. Hey, Michigan men, they go out to Washington. We had the pick 'em on Friday. I picked Washington pretty confidently.
Congrats. You want like a cookie or something for that?
I think Washington. Hey, me and Lukas. Hey, we laid it out. Last game should have won. They didn't have any. They had no turnovers and still lost. It made no sense. What's going on? You can't. You have multiple quarterbacks. You have no quarterback. So
I'm gonna get in front of it. I was at a wedding. I didn't watch one snap of the game.
You're good. No, it's fine.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I checked the score a few times and I was like, I'm thankful there isn't a TV anywhere near me. And I wasn't wasting. I was in the middle of nowhere. My phone was dying by the second. So I'm so thankful I didn't get to watch that game. But Boone, take it away.
No. Hold on, Boone. Hold on. You're fine. Just because you didn't watch that game does not mean that you don't take anything away from it. Now that you've seen other people talk about it. You saw Will Rogers look like Drew Brees out there, look like Michael Penix out there. What are your takeaways? I understand you didn't watch the game through totality, but when you saw that box score, Gentry, what are your takeaways? What are you thinking about Jack Tuttle? What are you thinking about Sharon Moore? What are you thinking? Come on.
We've already said it many times, and I see Boone getting just pissed in the background here. That the quarterback situation is a disgrace at Michigan. It has been. That Sharon Moore didn't go out and get someone, obviously, after seeing what he had right in front of him, is a disgrace. The whole offense in general is a disgrace. The only reason we are hanging on by a thread is because of the defense. Tuttle's awful. Origi's awful. Sharon Moore's an awful coach. There's no excuses this way. This is just an overall pathetic way to rebound a national championship season. Lucas, was that good enough?
Yeah, it'll do. It'll do.
Hey, Will Johnson. What's going on, Will Johnson?
All right.
Come on.
Kick my ass.
All right, Jeff, shut up real quick.
I was just asking, what's going on with him?
Let me talk to the people. There needs to be change. Just like Tom Gore's. Ward Man should be fired for hiring Sharon Moore. He should be fired for not figuring out a way for this NIL thing to work, to bring in a quarterback and for them to keep players and for them to continue to grow and to continue to keep this thing a legit program. Like, you should never, as a Michigan program, and Michigan was bad for a while. We were bad for so long, and you finally, everyone always talked about Michigan trying to get to that Bama level, the Ohio State level, getting out to that level. And you finally got to there. You're in a third year of being in the college football playoffs and dominating. There should be no reason. Look at Ohio State. Klotz, I'll give credit. Look at when Urban Meyer left. What did they do? They found a guy with Ryan Day, whether it was in-house or not. And I know Sharon Moore's in-house. Whether it was in-house or not, they're able to keep this thing going. Why can Michigan not do the same? You should be embarrassed. Warden Manuel should be fired. He should be let go. Everyone there should be let go. You should there is no reason to not be able to do what Ohio State's doing consistently year after year. Whether you lose your head coach, you lose a quarterback, there's no reason. You're one of those programs in college football that has that type of draw when it comes to bringing players in. You should have no reason not to be able to go out and find a quarterback. You should have quarterbacks wanting to come to Michigan. You should have receivers wanting to come to Michigan. You should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed, guys. The defense, too. Wink Martindale, wake up. Who are you? You're gone, too. I don't want Wink Martindale in Ann Arbor next year. Give me a new DC. How do you give up 450 total yards and you're supposed to be the best defense in college football? That's embarrassing. All of this whole thing all around is embarrassing. And whoever's calling plays, I don't know if it's Sharon. I don't know who it is right now. Sharon Moore. Figure this thing out. Jeff, I was sitting there with you. Literally, anytime you give the ball to Mullings or Edwards, it's 5 yards. So guess what they want to do down the stretch with 6 minutes left, only a down to score? Guess what they want to do? They think it's cute. Guess what it's cute to do? Oh, my gosh. Maybe we have a guy that can throw. We just found it out tonight. Maybe we should just throw with him down the stretch when we've never done this before. We don't know what we're doing. Yeah. No, maybe you should give it to the running backs who get 7 yards a carry and can literally hand the ball off 100 times until you get to the end zone and you win that game. If I was calling that game, we would have won. It's as simple as that. Power, just every time, halfback dive. And I promise you we would have won. That's all you have. All you had to do is just literally run the ball 30 times in the final two. Even when it's guys, even when there was 2 minutes left and you had you don't have the clock's not on your side, if you just you saw it versus USC when it got close and you needed something, you gave it to Mullings and he just went out there down the stretch with a minute left and you just pounded the rock and you finished the game off by running the ball. And guess what they didn't do trying to come? They're just oh my gosh, Jake Tuttle can throw. And they just let's just try this all of a sudden and just ruin the season's over. You're not beating Oregon and Ohio State. Playing like you did, literally that's what makes me so mad about Sharon Moore and makes me you should be fired tomorrow. Is that was one of the biggest games of the year to keep you in the college football playoffs, to give you a chance. You all you needed to do was win these games. So either Oregon or Ohio State, if you give yourself a chance to win, you get in. And you didn't even give yourself a chance to get in the college. Your season's over. You're going to we're going to the TurboTax Bowl or something. That's embarrassing. You go from a national championship game to a freaking Frosted Flakes Bowl. What are we doing? I mean, it's the most embarrassing. Everyone should be fired. And you know what? I was saying this 2 weeks ago when they beat USC. I was fine with it. And I was like, okay. But, like, you lose to Texas. Okay, I can handle the Texas loss. Like, they're the best team in football right now. They're literally the number one team in the country. I can handle that loss. What I can't handle is a Washington team that you should have beaten. You're a 1-point underdog on the road. So that means if you're at home, you're probably a favorite. A pick-em game where you're supposed to be the defending national champions, and you're supposed to give yourself a chance to go to a college football playoffs, and that's the game you get yourself out of the college football playoffs, and it's that game. Like, at least give yourself a chance to where you're going into the final week versus Ohio State with the chance at it. Like, give yourself a chance. Sharon, that whole staff should be fired. Giving up 450 yards to Will Rogers in Washington.
Hey, he thinks God after the game.
I have standards. We have stand. You should be like, it's embarrassing, dude. It is so embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Michigan got laid for the first time, finding a quarterback that can throw. Like, they just got, I don't know what happened at the end of the game.
Yeah, and they're like, oh my gosh, we're never running the ball again.
Just keep doing it.
This is awesome.
Just keep doing it. And then they lost. So hey, we listen to Will Rogers. Look at this this man at the end of the game had a moment. He was this is just hear this. Look at this crowd, by the way. This is wild. They're taken down.
I'm just so blessed just to be here. I mean, I'm a small kid, a kid just from small town Mississippi. So I'm thankful for my teammates, but
the crowd
is
insane.
God, man. I can't describe what he's done in my life. So, all glory to God.
You talked about this week about wanting to improve your red zone accuracy. You did that tonight. What specifically was working so well for you guys?
I mean, honestly, there's just the way we practice all week. From Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, we really locked in. Had a great week of practice, and it showed off tonight.
All right, what are we watching here?
Hey, we just had to rub salt in the wound a little bit on.
It's Will Rogers giving things. Hey,
small town from
We
Mississippi.
don't care. We don't
Small
care.
town from Mississippi.
Don't forget it.
Small kid from Mississippi.
Yeah, don't forget it. And he also, at least him saying something about God didn't get blocked on TV. At least, I mean, that played, but he was giving thanks. He was with a. That's huge for Will Rogers. That's huge for Will Rogers.
Build a statue. Have a statue in Columbus if he wants it.
Yep.
Did you see that? Did you guys see that tweet I just sent you about Devontae Adams?
What Kay Adams just put out? Let me see.
Yeah, so he usually goes on the Kay Adams show, Tuesdays? He's not going on the show anymore tomorrow. He might be getting traded. Devontae Adams might be on the move.
Or tell him to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, here's the tweet. I mean, I see it now. Oh boy, lots happening at the moment with our guy Adams, who won't be on tomorrow. Sorry about that. Stay tuned. Might be traded. Yeah, I don't know. After the Jets just lost.
Oh, you know what? I bet the Steelers are horny as fuck after last night. They're complaining about George Pickens. Mike Tomlin even came out and he was like, I think the best thing for George is to reduce his snap count. So when he's on the field, he's more fresh, he's more productive. And that's your wide receiver one. You don't ever want to take him off the field. So if I had to guess right now, Pittsburgh. Steelers.
Yeah, and who even is their wide receiver two? Obviously Roman Wilson banged up, but there's no quality other wide receiver on that team outside of George Pickens. And I mean, I think the Ravens were the betting favorite. I mean, you got Zay Flowers, and then obviously the tight ends haven't been what they've expected. So the Ravens could be in there too. And then Jeff with another great point. The Jets it's not looking good. So they might be throwing the bag.
They threw Garrett Wilson 22 targets.
That was insane.
Hey, T-Con. He was balling too. T-Con.
Been balling. Our guy.
He's been really balling. Actually, Aaron Rodgers loves that man besides Garrett Wilson and Lazard, obviously. But that's really it, those three. They can't run the ball with your boy, Breece Hall. I was told he's one of the best.
Hey, guess who?
They gave the man the ball 6 times, I think. I know he had less than 10 carries.
It's weird because my favorite running back's getting it just as much. I mean, it's kind of weird how this narrative,
You stick to that Braylon Allen over Breece Hall narrative.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah. No, he's not Breece Hall, but he's pretty good. I was told Breece Hall.
Braylon Allen's a good running back. No one ever told you he was bad.
He's getting a whopping 2 yards per carry. What's going on? Wait, what does he got now this season, Breece Hall? He might be actually doing way better than I think he is. At least from every time I tune into a Jets game, he's playing bad. 3 yards per carry.
Yeah, he is. That was actually under the around the NFL notes. I had Breece Hall. Is he going to show up anytime soon?
Show up.
I could not imagine drafting that guy with my first overall pick in fantasy over all the good wide receivers on the board over Derrick Henry. People are crazy.
Yeah, Derrick Henry, man, who would have thought? I mean, did he go in any first rounds for you guys?
I was the last pick, and I took him back to back.
I think he went in the first round in a couple of the drafts I was in.
They did him dirty. They thought he was washed. A lot of
people did. Guess who never did? The King. I got laughed at. Klotz.
For what?
Yeah, wait,
this is like the same thing with like Jeff and Brett. When have I ever told you Derrick Henry?
Hey, I was told he was washed.
Who?
Klotz.
You got you must know 2 Klotzes. It must have been my brother and my nephew.
Imagine Klotz laughing at you. I can just imagine that.
I think you did. I think I was.
I literally said, I can remember like multiple times, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry will be a problem. That read option, no one's going to be able to stop it. I said it multiple times.
Klotzy laughed at him. All right, we'll get on.
He's washed.
That's it.
It's the Justice Hill show. If you guys didn't know in Baltimore right now, tune in. Skip your Derrick Henry.
There you go. See, you hate this. You were like, he's too old. He's past his prime. He's an old.
Terrible.
I remember you saying all of that. I remember it very, very clearly.
Yeah,
vividly, I bet.
Yeah, I can actually see it now. Actually,
yeah, so can I. When I close my eyes and imagine very, very hard.
Yeah.
Well, use my dreams.
Hey, good show tonight, fellas. You know what I need before we end the show? Can Crystal Lavi wake up? He's in a blanket still. Okay,
they don't have the ball yet.
I don't care.
Tight.
4 yards in the third. I'm like 40 yards. That's all I need. All right, we'll get out of here. Appreciate you guys so much, man. Tune in tomorrow. We'll do a top 10 Tuesday. Hopefully, we won't scream at each other and fist fight. But hey, we'll be doing it tomorrow.
Power rankings.
Yeah, top 10 Tuesday, baby. We're going. And then Wednesday, John Macron, and Thursday we got a special guest joining the show. So, and I'm gonna see what we can get from Dallas. Maybe we can get some beat reporter on this week as well, like we do.
Micah Parsons, he's in the media now.
He's yapping a lot. We can get Mike on potentially. Said no one would want to live in Detroit or come play here, so it'd be weird. Controversial guest. We'll catch you guys tomorrow, 8 p.m., 10 p.m. Be there, buy our merch, officialcgsports.com, and subscribe because we're like 300 now, I think, roughly away. Yeah, 330 to be exact from 10K. Until tomorrow, we'll catch you guys. See you.